Chapter 61. Do you like me like this? When she heard Yi-Chen say that he had bought a villa for her and that it was in only his name, she was so shocked that she couldn't believe her ears. What did you say? You bought a villa for me? Lu Yana asked, her eyes wide. Yes. Shall we move in there in the future? Your husband will live in your house from now on. Yi-Chen said with a smile. Is that villa even bigger than this place? Lu Yana was still shocked. Yes, it's 5 times bigger than this place, and there are probably 10 times as many rooms, so it's big enough for our whole family. Yi-Chen replied. And when Lu Yana heard this, her eyes widened even more. 5 times bigger than this place? That's over 1,000 square meters? That really is a big villa. Where is that villa? Lu Yana was so shocked that she couldn't even speak properly. Yi-Chen took another step closer, pushing Lu Yana up against the bed. In the city center, Villa 6 in Yulong Bay, the house deed and keys will be sent tomorrow. I'll put it in your hands then to prove that I'm not bluffing. How could you possibly suspect that you are lying to me? Lu Yana saw him approaching step by step, and she also sat directly on the bed. Yi-Chen also directly leaned down on top of her, looking at the cute and surprised look of the little cutie under him. He really felt extremely cute. In fact, Yi-Chen was only pretending to weigh down on her, he was not really weighing Lu Yana down. Lu Yana was already too shocked at this point to care, and she instantly blushed when she was weighed down by Yi-Chen. Yi-Chen leaned over Lu Yana's ear and said, I'm different from other men. If I love someone, I'll take action. I won't promise my woman the moon. Do you like me like this? Lu Yana heard Yi-Chen's seductive, sexy, and magnetic bass coming from his ear, and it made her feel all tingly. Lu Yana is also a sound control, and she liked Yi-Chen in the beginning because his voice was very special. Now hearing this low and magnetic voice is really a treat. She closed her eyes and breathed heavily in Yi-Chen's ear. I like it, I really like it. Then she put her hand on Yi-Chen's neck, and Yi-Chen was also stunned. He originally just wanted to tease Lu Yana a little, but now it seems that he has also gotten himself involved. Because there is a response. Nana. Yi-Chen even breathed erratically, grabbed Lu Yana's hand, and called softly. Lu Yana gave a grunt, but her voice was uncontrollably hoarse. Suddenly, he grabbed Lu Yana's hand, which was placed on his neck, and imprisoned both hands on Lu Yana's head, kissing her very domineeringly. And Lu Yana was desperately responding to Yi-Chen's kiss. The two kissed directly on the bed, just as Yi-Chen's hand reached Lu Yana. Suddenly, the door knocked. Yi-Chen and Lu Yana were scared and quickly jumped apart. The person who came in was Ye's mother. Ye's mother looked at the two blushing people and instantly understood. She immediately said, Oh, I'm so sorry. She immediately exited the room. She had originally just wanted to bring some fruit to Nana to eat, but now she saw the young couple actually doing it, and she felt bad for the whole situation. But she had to do something about it. After all, Lu Yana was still in her postpartum period, and the two of them were so eager to have sex. How could that be okay? It wasn't good for Lu Yana's health either. So Ye's mother stepped in. After she went downstairs, she immediately called Yi-Chen and told him to hurry downstairs. Lu Yana and Yi-Chen were still sitting on the bed, shaken and stunned. It was really scary. In the future, you really have to lock the door. Yi-Chen also had the same thoughts as Lu Yana. Yi-Chen said awkwardly, Nana, my mother. It's fine, I can understand. Lu Yana said immediately. Yi-Chen didn't know what to say either. At that moment, the phone rang. It was Ye's mother calling. Yi-Chen, oh, I see, I'll go down now. Turning her head, she said to Lu Yana, Nana, my mother told me to go downstairs and said she wants to talk to me about something. Don't think too much about it. After reassuring Lu Yana, Yi-Chen went downstairs. Chapter 62, You Can't Be So Eager. As soon as Yi-Chen arrived, she saw her mother waiting for her at the corner of the stairs, her eyes looking a little anxious. Mom, what's the matter? Yi-Chen asked. Mom immediately pulled Yi-Chen aside and whispered, What were you doing with Nana just now? Don't you know that Nana is still in her postpartum period? You can't be so eager, she just gave birth and her body hasn't recovered yet. Especially with a cesarean section, if something goes wrong, it can really damage the body. You should wait at least 2 months before having sex again. And you must take proper precautions. You should wait at least 1.5 years before getting pregnant again after a cesarean section. What's more, Nana had triplets, so her uterus needs to heal properly. What if she gets pregnant again? Her body won't be able to handle it, so she'll have to abort the baby. If she aborts the baby, it'll be very harmful to her health. You guys are just too young. Yi Mama scolded Yi Chen on the side. She also knew that her daughter-in-law Nana was so beautiful, and Yi Chen was inevitably a little out of control. She told him so much because she wanted Yi Chen to think carefully about the consequences and not act recklessly. Actually, to be honest, she quite likes this daughter-in-law. She is sensible, has a good personality, is beautiful, and is really hard to find. Moreover, Lu Yana is so pretty, and Yi Chen is not bad either, so the child's genes will be good too. At this point, Yi Chen was also crying out in vain for himself, "Mom, what are you worrying about? Although I am a little bit like that, how could I do that to Nana when she was in her postpartum month? I am not an animal. I still have some sense of propriety about this. After all, I endured it for 10 months, so how could I not endure those 2 months? So, Mom, don't worry, I really won't do anything stupid. I won't do anything that's bad for Nana." Ye's mother looked at Yi Chen's serious face and finally believed him. She just asked him to promise again and again before letting him go. After all, she had been there before, and she could still understand those things. She also believed in her son's character and knew that Yi Chen was not someone who didn't know his place. At this time, Yi Chen's phone rang, and it was the female salesperson calling. "Hello, Mr. Yi, I'm at your front door now, and I've delivered the goods." Yi Chen, "Oh, okay, I'll be right out." Yi Chen walked out the door and saw that the female salesperson was looking at the villa in front of her with surprise. After all, to own such a villa in the city, one must be rich. The saleswoman saw Yi Chen come out and immediately came forward. "Mr. Yi, the goods have been delivered for you." She saw the saleswoman call a taxi, load the goods in the back, and now she was opening the taxi door while Yi Chen was coming out. The saleswoman then carried the goods down, and the driver did not get out to help. Yi Chen moved the milk powder and diapers to one side and then asked the saleswoman, "How much is it all together?" The saleswoman took out a notebook and told Yi Chen, "A case of milk powder is 2,700 yuan, and you bought 4 cases, so that's 10,800 yuan. A medium-sized pack of diapers is 88 yuan, so that's 2 packs for 176 yuan, and the large-sized diapers are 5 packs for 108 yuan, 5 packs is 540 yuan, all the goods add up to 10,976 yuan, and if you add 10,000 yuan, you can get a 10% discount, which means a total of 9,878 yuan. The saleswoman handed the notebook to Yi Chen. Yi Chen just glanced at it. "How do I pay?" The saleswoman immediately showed her own QR code for payment. "You can scan mine, just pay directly, and I will enter your information in the store later." Yi Chen immediately scanned her QR code and transferred 10,000 yuan directly to her. "Oops, sir, you transferred too much, just 9,878 yuan is fine. Here is your taxi fare, thank you," Yi Chen said to the saleswoman. The saleswoman said gratefully, "Thank you, Mr. Yi, and I wish you and your family happiness." She must be grateful. After all, on this order, she also got a commission of 100 or 2. Even if she deducted a few tens of dollars for the taxi fare, she still made a profit. So, regarding Yi Chen's action, she felt, it's really nice to be kind. You deserve to be rich. Chapter 63, I won't flirt with you anymore. After the saleswoman left, Yi Chen carried the things upstairs. He carried 2 boxes of milk powder at once, and it really wasn't an exaggeration to say that this milk powder was quite heavy. He carried a total of more than 10 caddies, and Yi Chen also had some difficulty carrying it because he was also holding 2 packages of diapers in his hands. He first carried the 2 boxes to the second floor, and he also needed to prepare some diapers and milk powder on the first floor in case of an emergency. After he had successively carried everything into the house, Yi Chen also went back to his room to see his wife. He gently opened the door and saw that Lu Yana was sleeping, so he walked softly to the bed and placed a kiss on her forehead. In fact, Lu Yana was just pretending to sleep, she was not really asleep at all. When Yi Chen kissed her on the forehead, her heart was pounding like a little deer. Now their relationship is like that of lovers in love, which makes her happy, and at the same time, she seems to be quietly preparing for something. Yi Chen looked at the cute girl in her pajamas with messy hair beneath him with burning eyes. At this time, Lu Yana's face became more and more red because she knew that she had been stared at by Yi Chen and had never left. Suddenly, Lu Yana opened her eyes and smiled with a red face. "Why are you looking at me like that? I knew you weren't asleep. You couldn't have fallen asleep in just a little while, hee hee." Yi Chen looked at Lu Yana on the bed with a smile. "So, are you teasing me?" Lu Yana also asked with a smile. "Is that not allowed?" Yi Chen asked back with a smile. Husband, thank you. Lu Yana suddenly said to Yi Chen with great affection. Yi Chen stroked Lu Yina's disheveled hair and said with a smile, silly, telling your husband this, your husband will definitely not just give you one in the future, I want to make you the happiest woman in the world. At that moment, the system suddenly beeped. The host cares for his wife, the system rewards 1 million yuan. Yi Chen was also stunned. It really is true that a wife is wealth, and if you lose your wife, you will lose all your wealth. As long as you are good to your wife, the money will come. Moreover, it was because I decided to be with Lu Yana that I got a wife and a child, and that's why I was bound by the system. It really is true that the ancients did not deceive me. Lu Yana nodded softly, and then pulled Yi Chen down and lay with her. Lu Yana was also very moved. Facing her husband, the two had never gone through a courtship and developed into a couple, but instead had directly had a baby. In this relationship, Lu Yana was the initiator, and she had been very worried before. After spending the past 6 months together, she also felt a sense of love. She felt more and more happy, and at the same time, she became more and more dependent on her husband. Yi Chen was also taken aback by Lu Yina's actions. Nana, no. Yi Chen turned his head and looked at the smiling Lu Yana. Lu Yana smiled, I know, I just want you to lie down and rest for a while. You didn't sleep much last night, and you got up early this morning to go out and take care of some business. It's afternoon now, and you must be tired. By the way, did Mom say something to you just now? Lu Yana asked. She just told me not to be so impatient, and that I should wait until you're better. Yi Chen felt a little embarrassed. As soon as she mentioned what had just happened, Lu Yana blushed again. It was really embarrassing, and it was even seen by her mother-in-law, which was awkward beyond the sky. Yi Chen saw Lu Yina's flushed face and knew that she must be feeling embarrassed. He comforted her, saying, It's okay, my mother didn't do anything, she was just reminding us to be careful. My mother is also worried about your health. But I did almost lose control just now. Yi Chen said with some relief. Yes, if he really couldn't control himself just now, then he would definitely have done something irreparable. And it would have caused a lot of harm to Nana. Sigh. Who could blame it on his wife for being so beautiful? Now Lu Yana has lost a little weight, and with this slightly plump figure, what man wouldn't want the size of her breasts before? Lu Yana was so ashamed that she quickly buried her head in Yi Chen's arms and whispered, I'm sorry, I won't tease you anymore in the future. Chapter 64, In the future, you can only tease me. Yi Chen was shocked when he heard this. The couple had so little fun, how could they just stop teasing each other? Lu Yana had such a realization, and this good tradition must be preserved. However, he can only tease him. Men like this, it's much better than those wooden ones. If there were more role-playing and seduction, that would be even better. Yi Chen felt great just thinking about it. After all, he had seen a lot of movies, and naturally fantasized about these things. Yi Chen immediately jumped up, Hey, no. That's how your husband likes you. Lu Yana laughed, so men really like it when women take the initiative? Lu Yana had searched the internet for a lot of relationship books, and the most important thing in them was, women chase men, and it's easy. But there is one condition, she must be a beautiful woman. She is so beautiful, which man wouldn't be tempted to act on it? It's just that she is a traditional and conservative person, and without knowing Yi Chen, she wouldn't dare to act rashly. As for the unforgettable night she had with Yi Chen, she was really too bold and crazy at that time. Yi Chen looked at the woman in his arms who was gloating, and directly held her tightly in his arms, still laughing. Aren't you afraid that I'll go off? Lu Yana laughed even louder, I'm not afraid, I'll scream. Yi Chen was at his wits' end with her, and after a while the two of them just laughed and hugged together, and Yi Chen fell asleep from exhaustion. This was the first time the two of them had slept so close together. After all, before Lu Yana was pregnant and had a huge belly, and Yi Chen was afraid to hug her, and at that time the two of them were not as close as they are now. Their relationship has now progressed to the point where they are like any ordinary couple, getting along very well with each other. Even if they do intimate things with each other, they no longer feel awkward. Lu Yana also noticed these changes between the two of them and was secretly happy. Seeing Yi Chen fall asleep dazedly, Lu Yana also got ready to have a good nap and savor the feeling of being held and sleeping by someone she likes. At this moment, a cry of wah wah came from the next room. The baby has woken up. The baby has woken up, and so has Lu Yana, who has to get up to breastfeed. Lu Yana sighs helplessly. Being a mother is like this, there are hardships and tiredness, but it is also bittersweet. As long as it is good for the child, she is willing to do it. Being a mother is also bittersweet. So Lu Yana gets out of bed quietly, opens and closes the door gently, and then goes directly to the baby's room to breastfeed. Auntie Zhang also helped take care of the baby in the baby's room. After all, she had been a nanny for 2 months and had to babysit at night. During the day, she tried to help out as much as possible so that the other two could get some sleep. Mom Yi and Mom Lu were also there. This must be the easiest order these two nannies have ever taken, because if you want to hire a nanny, you probably don't have anyone to take care of your baby at home, so you hire a nanny. Now in the Yi family, not only can she sleep, but she also has someone to share the workload. Everyone saw Lu Yana walk in. Lu's mother said, "Nana, you're awake?" "Yes, Mom, I'm awake," Lu Yana replied with a smile. At that moment, Ye's mother held Bao over to her. "Is it Bao's turn to breastfeed?" Lu Yana smiled and took Bao. "Yes, Mom." Bao is quite obedient. After Lu Yana picked him up, he didn't cry and scream like Bao did. The little guy was even eating milk like a little kitten. After looking at Bao and Xiaobai, Lu Yana moved a small stool and sat down to feed him while hiding from everyone. Ye's mother's face paled and she couldn't help but ask, "Is Yi Chen in the room?" Because usually Lu Yana carries the baby to her room to breastfeed, she was also a little shocked that Lu Yana was breastfeeding here. Chapter 65, Out of the Postpartum Period. Lu Yana smiled and said, "Well, he was so tired today that he fell asleep right away." Ye's mother nodded. "That's right, he went out early this morning to take care of some business and didn't come back until a little after 1, so he must be very tired." A daughter-in-law who understands how to be considerate of her son, and a couple who support each other, is the best thing a mother could hope for. Ye's mother smiled at Lu Yana, and the more she looked at her daughter-in-law, the more she liked her. Although she hadn't spent a long time with Lu Yana, just 10 days since the beginning of the month, Ye's mother had worked hard in the business world and could judge people fairly accurately. When they first met, she felt that this girl was good in all aspects of dealing with people, even though they hadn't really spent any time together. And after getting to know the family, she realized that the daughter-in-law was well educated, and that her parents were very reasonable and understanding. "Nana is really considerate," Ye's mother praised with a smile. Lu Yana also blushed. "He is my husband, I definitely have to take care of him." Lu's mother and Ye's mother both smiled at each other, and the family was all happy and harmonious. Lu's mother had only recently started living with Yi Chen's family, and after living together for more than 10 days, everyone had gotten to know each other pretty well. Lu's mother also felt that Yi Chen's parents were very good at the ways of the world, and they were also very good to Nana, and they didn't reject the two old folks from living here. She only has one daughter, and in the future, she hopes that she can find a good family to marry into, right? Now that the in-laws are so nice, she is also relieved. And Yi Chen, her son-in-law, is also more and more satisfying the more she looks at him. As the saying goes, the mother-in-law looks at her son-in-law and the more she looks, the more satisfied she becomes. After all, there are not many capable sons-in-law like Yi Chen, and there are not many men who are so family-oriented. After all, there are not many men who can take care of their wives from pregnancy to childbirth. Seeing the couple so in love with each other, both Ye's mother and Lu's mother were very happy. Life went on in a peaceful and uneventful manner. After more than 10 days, it was soon time for Lu Yana to leave the confinement room. Yi Chen had followed the advice in the book and let Lu Yana stay in the confinement room for almost 2 months, so that she could recuperate properly. However, the month-old babysitter's time was also up, and once they left, the responsibility of taking care of the baby fell on the family. This day also happens to be the baby's 30th day, and according to the instructions of the maternal and child health nurse, the baby also needs to be taken for vaccinations today. Yi Chen has also long since prepared a luxury stroller for each of the 3 babies, so that Yi Chen's parents, Lu Yana's parents, and Yi Chen can each push one baby. However, Yi Chen was so busy taking care of his wife and children that he forgot to buy a stroller. If they had bought a nanny car, the whole family could have gone to the vaccination in the same car, but now they have to drive in 2 cars. It seems that buying a nanny car is still urgent. Ye's father also understood, after Ye's mother explained, that his good son is the major shareholder of a major group, so he is not surprised by anything he has now. Lu Yana's parents are naturally content to see their son-in-law so capable. Yi Chen didn't want Lu Yana to come on this trip. After all, she had just given birth and it would be better if she stayed at home. But Lu Yana insisted on going. "I don't want to miss any moment with the kids. This is their first vaccination, how can I, as a mother, not go? Besides, my wound doesn't hurt anymore, I'm fine. It's better for me to go with you and see the kids get their first vaccination than to stay at home and wait." Lu Yan looked at Yi Chen, and Yi Chen had no choice but to let her go. Looking at his lovely wife, he shook his head helplessly. "You'd better wrap yourself up tightly and don't let the wind blow your hair around, or you'll catch a cold." In the end, he had no choice but to take her with him. Chapter 66, almost 50 and still able to give birth. This trip was the biggest one the baby had taken since being discharged from the hospital. Yi Chen drove one car, Ye's mother held one baby, Lu's mother held the second baby, and Lu Yana held the third baby, all of them sitting in the back seat. Ye's father drove his own car, carrying Lu's father and Aunt Zhang, and they all went to the community health service center for the vaccinations. After the family had prepared all the things they needed to bring, they set off. Before they left, Aunt Zhang made sure that they had not forgotten anything. The whole family also got up early, because Yi Chen had also inquired online about some things about getting the vaccination, and knew that when getting the vaccination, it was bound to be very crowded, and one definitely could not choose to go on a Saturday or Sunday, because at that time people were resting and would take their children to get vaccinated, and the elderly generally did not know how to get vaccinated. Moreover, an appointment had to be made a day in advance, and Yi Chen had also made an appointment for the 3 babies a long time ago, but it was a bit more complicated to make an appointment for 3 children at once. Yi Chen drove quickly to the community service center, but there were a lot of cars here, so it seemed like it was going to be a busy day. So they had to find a parking space that charged a fee, and after parking the car, the family got out. Yi Chen, Ye's father, and Lu's father unrolled the strollers as soon as they got out. The babies had just finished breastfeeding and changing diapers when they left the house, and now they were all sleeping soundly. Slowly putting the babies into the stroller, they walked towards the service center. While at the service center, they also needed to fill out various forms. Yi Chen took care of all this, because he had remembered all the babies' ID numbers, which he had written down on the day they had applied for residence registration. After filling out all the forms, the nurse at the door said to them, "Vaccinations are on the 3rd floor. Are you going to the 3rd floor?" "Yes," said Yi Chen calmly. However, the nurse's eyes were a little strange. "There is an elevator here, you can take the elevator up, it's just around the corner here." "Thank you." Yi Chen took the information he had just filled out and then took his family and babies inside. However, the nurse's eyes still looked at Yi Chen and his party as strangely as ever. I don't know what this nurse was thinking, but Yi Chen didn't want to pay any attention to her. Everyone got into the elevator and pressed the 3rd floor. The elevator arrived quickly, and once they got out, they were in the hall where they would get their vaccinations. There were already a lot of people in the hall, and all the seats were full. Some people were even walking around with their children, and you could hear the children crying heartbreakingly in the vaccination room. Seeing this situation, Yi Chen guessed that they had probably left home a bit late today. It was already past 10 o'clock. He also searched for it, and it is best to arrive around 9 o'clock, otherwise there will be a lot of people waiting. So, Yi Chen quickly walked over to the number machine and pressed a numbered piece of paper, and then joined Lu Yana and the others. At this time, there were still about 20 people in front of them, which was fortunately not too many, and they should finish soon. Because after the vaccination, they still have to stay there for about 30 minutes for observation. There are also quite a lot of people staying here for observation. Yi Chen and the others' arrival instantly attracted the attention of those people, because Yi Chen and the others were pushing 3 small babies. Naturally, they attracted attention wherever they went. And those people were whispering. I saw that the woman just now called the man in the gray overcoat dad, and he was pushing a small child. The woman next to him must be her mother, right? Really, her daughter also has a child about the same age, and then she gave birth to a second child? That's right. Although having a second child is now encouraged, judging from the 2 men and women, they must be in their 40s, almost 50s, and they can still have a baby. I really admire them. Chapter 67, You are not family if you are not in the same family. Yes. The young man is the same. He told the other woman in the dark blue coat to call her mother, and she gave the young man a second child as well. I mean, this family is really strange. You are not family if you are not in the same family. Yes. If I were in my 20s and found out that my parents had given birth to a younger sibling, I would be devastated too. Although their voices were low, the hall was not very big, and Yi Chen and the others naturally heard them, and they were instantly infuriated. They were only about 48 years old, and even if they had a second child, it was just in response to the national call. How could these people still discriminate? And before talking about other people's business, can they figure out the situation first? Ye's father was also glaring at them in anger, but Ye's mother was tugging him along. Never mind these people, there really are all kinds of people. It's none of your business how many children they have, and they're not using your family's money or eating your rice. They really have nothing better to do. Lou's parents are also highly educated, so they naturally don't take it personally. The group of people just stood there, chatting while waiting. Yi-chen also started chatting with them about buying a nanny car. Dad, Mom, do you think we need to buy a nanny car or a small RV or something? After all, our family is quite large, and it's not very convenient for us to travel. I'm already thinking about which one to buy. Yes, father says, a nanny car? I've only heard of the Toyota Alphard or something, but a nanny car isn't very big. It's better to get a van, which can seat a dozen people, so everyone can sit comfortably. Yes, mother also has an opinion. Buying a motorhome is fine, but if you just buy a motorhome, it's probably too big. That's the downside. It's bigger than a van, but more comfortable than a van. You see, most caravans have at least one comfortable bed. If you go on a trip, the children can play in bed, which is quite convenient, isn't it? You can buy some toys for them. I think caravans are great. At this point, Mrs. Liu also chimed in. In-laws, we're on the same page. Caravans are really great, and it's convenient to heat milk and cook anything. They're really the first choice for travel, and it's now easy to park them, there's no problem at all. Yes, and it's also much more convenient to play games with the kids on it. Lou's father also agreed with Ye's mother and Lou's mother. Ye's father was moved by the words of the two mothers. Well, it is indeed good, and the RV should be a bit more stable than a van, but it's also expensive. That's natural, don't worry, you're old man, your son will take care of it. Ye's mother winked at Yi-chen, right, son? Yi-chen also smiled, so everyone's suggestion is to buy a motorhome? I was planning to buy a nanny car. A nanny car is not as good as the car you have now. Look, if the child grows up in the future, they definitely won't want to sit properly in the car, and they will need a seat even in a car seat. You are not at ease, right? This RV is so good and safe. Yi Mama kept encouraging. Now that she knows that her son is so rich, she naturally doesn't worry that this small amount of money will affect her son, so she is very relieved and goes to buy what she wants. Yi-chen listened to what the two mothers had to say and nodded. It seems to make sense. Since everyone unanimously agrees to buy a motorhome, I can only change my mind. In a few days, let's go look at the car together again, depending on the time. Let's buy it as soon as possible, so that next month we don't have to go through so much trouble. Chapter 68. Another day of crying. Ye's parents and the others all nodded in agreement. That's a good idea. From now on, whenever we go out, we can just get the baby's vaccinations here, and we won't have to worry about bringing two cars. Yes, after all, everyone has a car these days, and parking spaces are hard to find. Lou's father agreed. Then after we've finished vaccinating the baby, let's go look at some cars sometime, shall we? Yi-chen asked. I'm not going. You guys decide about buying a car. I still have to stay at home and take care of the baby, said Mrs. Yi. Yes, now that the postpartum care nurse has left, and Mrs. Liu has not yet retired, she has to go back to work. It's about time she went back after taking so much leave. Mrs. Yi has also long since focused on her family. She has handed over everything at work to her husband, and now she is just focused on staying at home and taking care of her grandson. Lou's mother also said, I'm not going either. We women don't understand anything about buying a car. You men should make the decision. I'm not going to join the fun. Men are quite enthusiastic about cars. After all, every man knows a few cars. When you have money, you can have a car and a beautiful woman. That's every man's dream. Today is Friday, and I'm free tomorrow. I wonder if your father-in-law is free. Dad Yi asked. Dad Liu has also been here for just a few days, and he has been running around a lot for the sake of his grandchildren. He goes to Fragrance City every other day, and stays for 2 or 3 days before going back. Dad Liu said, if it's tomorrow, that's fine, because I was planning to go back on Sunday. On Monday, I have a meeting at the office and need to go back for a while. Yi-chen then said, in that case, let's set it for tomorrow and go to the car dealership to take a look. Naturally, they had to go to a big car dealership to find a car in stock. Nowadays, it takes strength to run a car dealership. The group chatted for a while, and soon it was time to call the baby's name. Please go to registration desk 4 for number 131. Yi-chen immediately took the 3 vaccination books and went to registration desk 4. He handed the staff the 3 books. The female staff member looked at Yi-chen with surprise in her eyes, then took the books and opened them to look at the dates of birth. She was very surprised and asked, handsome guy, are these all your children? Yi Chen simply said indifferently, yes, they are all my children, triplets. Her words made everyone nearby look at Yi Chen's family. After all this time, it turns out that they are triplets? The female staff member also laughed, my goodness, you are really something. How could you have triplets? Nowadays, in vitro fertilization can only produce twins at most. Did you conceive naturally? Yi Chen didn't want to say much to her, so he simply gave a soft in response. After all, Yi Chen didn't want others to discuss his family affairs too much. The staff member smiled, took the notebook, and wrote something on it. Then she took it to the printer one by one, and after it was printed, she said with a smile, now the shots are all free. Each child needs 2 shots. It's already registered. You can go over there and wait in line to name your baby. Yi Chen took the vaccine notebook, smiled, and said, thank you. Then, Yi Chen took the notebook and led the family to the waiting area to wait for their names to be called. Judging from the progress of the name calling on the list, it should be about half an hour. At this time, the eldest baby woke up first and started crying as soon as he woke up. It is estimated that he was also not used to the unfamiliar environment. Dad Yi quickly picked him up. Oh no! The eldest baby woke up. Come to Grandpa for a hug. The second and third babies also woke up one after the other. It is strange to say that these 3 babies all have the same daily routine. When one wakes up, the other 2 also wake up together. When there are not enough people, 1 or 2 people cannot hold all 3 babies. The good thing is that they sleep together, and if one baby cries, the other 2 will fall asleep. This really can make people collapse easily. I believe that babies who have had twins or triplets can understand. Chapter 69 finished the vaccination. When the second baby heard the familiar crying of the eldest baby, it also started to cry loudly. Grandma Lu also carefully picked up the second baby. Ouch, my second baby, Grandma will hug you and give you a kiss. The baby only cried twice, as if he was calling for his father. Yi Chen naturally also wanted to protect his little treasure in his arms. You are still my little treasure, my little treasure. With these 3 people calling each other like this, the relationship between the family and the children seemed to have been understood, and those people who had been gossiping in private were also shocked. Triplets? Then they started a new round of discussions. My goodness! I've seen twins and I've seen 7s, but I've never seen triplets. Yes. And they're 2 boys and a girl. My goodness! I've lived half my life and this is really the first time I've seen it. These people were shocked. After all, twins are already a remarkable presence everywhere, not to mention Yi Chen and Lu Yina's triplets. So they were also shocked by the powerful genes of Yi Chen and Lu Yina. And they completely forgot about the fact that they had just used someone else's child as an example. The Yi family was also too busy comforting the baby to care about what these people were saying. After all, life is their own, and let others say whatever they want. Debeo had just left the house and just had his milk, so he shouldn't be crying from hunger, right? Ye's mother took over from Ye's father and comforted Debeo while talking to everyone. At this time, Lu Yina walked over and said, Mom, I just fed Debeo. He didn't eat seriously, and after eating for a while, he fell asleep. He didn't wake up no matter how I called him. I guess he's hungry now, so I'll go feed him. It suddenly dawned on Ye's mother, oh, so he wasn't full. Here, you take Debeo and go feed him over there. There's a mother and child room here. Yi Chen also said, yes, otherwise, after the vaccination, she won't be able to drink or breastfeed. Do you want me to go with you? Yi Chen said, holding his daughter in his arms. Lu Yana glanced at the mother and baby room over there. What are you going to do there? It's full of mothers. Do you think there's one room for each person? There are a bunch of people there. Now it was Yi Chen's turn to feel awkward. He was just thinking that Lu Yana would be scared to go alone, and naturally he didn't expect that the mother and baby room was full of mothers breastfeeding. Mommy said, I'll go with Yana, you stay here and wait for your name to be called. So Mom Yi and Lu Yana went to the nursery room together, holding baby Big. At that moment, the staff member who had just helped them register happened to be returning from the bathroom, so she asked them, you have a 1-month-old baby, right? Has he had a physical examination? Mom Yi was very surprised. A physical examination? What does that have to do with getting vaccinations? Lu's mother, holding the baby, and Ye's father, Lu's father, were also very surprised. The female staff member looked at the surprised group in front of her and laughed, you guys are still newbies. This is a must. You can only get the vaccinations after the physical examination. Parents usually take their children to the Women and Children's Hospital for the physical examination, and then come back for the vaccinations. Didn't the doctor tell you this when he gave you the booklet when you were discharged from the hospital after giving birth? Yi Chen also shook his head. I forgot. Now my children are all in line. His father also said with great gratitude, ouch, thank you so much. We really wouldn't have known if we hadn't been told. Lu's mother and the others were very grateful to her. The female staff member also smiled and said, our community service center is designed to prevent parents like you from forgetting medical examinations, so there is also a medical examination room here. There are numbered tickets at the door, so you can just go and press one to get in line. If you have 3 children, just press one number. Yichen looked at the mother and child room. The baby just went to feed, is this in time? The staff member glanced at the physical examination room and then looked at the time. There are more than 20 people in line for vaccinations here, and there are 2 rooms taking turns, with more than 10 people in each room. Everyone needs about 4 minutes, so it will take more than 40 minutes. Chapter 70, Going to the Hospital for a Checkup. The nurse thought for a moment and said, for breastfeeding, it will take about 20 minutes. There aren't many people in the physical examination room right now, and the physical examination will be quick. However, it is limited to a general examination. It is better for you to make time to go to the Women and Children's Hospital for a formal examination. Yi Chen was also extremely grateful. Oh, then thank you very much, otherwise we would have come for nothing today. The female staff member said, actually, you can explain the situation to our staff and get the physical examination done first, so that you can get the shots later. These are all trivial matters, but this 1-month physical examination is very important, and there is a lot to check. We will just take a look here to see if your baby is suitable for the vaccine, so it won't be very detailed. I have to get back to work now, so if you have any questions, you can go over and ask the physical examination doctor. Yi Chen was also very embarrassed and said, oops, I'm really sorry for keeping you waiting for so long, but thank you very much for reminding me. The female staff member also waved her hand, it's fine. Then, she walked back to work. After all, there were still many people waiting for her. Yi Chen was really careless, and she even forgot about the child's physical examination. I don't know what to check at the physical examination either. But for now, let's just forget about it and wait until Lu Yana has finished feeding the baby. Then, press a numbered paper, hoping to be able to complete the physical examination and get the injection within the time. At this time, Ye's father also said, you need a physical examination to get a vaccination? There are still quite a few procedures. The older generation didn't have this kind of concept. They were just raised roughly. Even when Yi Chen was a child, it was Ye's mother who took him more often. Ye's father was too busy at work to have time to accompany him. Sometimes the school would organize vaccinations as well. Yi Chen was such a young child, and Yi Chen's father had absolutely no experience with children. Even when it came to holding the baby, he practiced for a long time before he dared to do it. Yi Chen mother was also not at ease letting such a roughneck hold the baby. Yi Chen also said, right, I forgot about that. In the future, when it comes to baby matters, you must activate the skill of never forgetting a face. After all, children's matters are not trivial, and they must be taken seriously. And as the staff just said, the first month of the baby's physical examination is very important. Yi Chen also felt a little guilty. Lu's mother, however, reassured him, it's okay, it's not too late to find out. We can go to the Women's and Children's Hospital later to see if we can have a physical examination, it's the same thing, you don't need to worry too much. Ye's father also said, yes, we have time in the afternoon, or we can go in the morning tomorrow. Can't you use that WeChat thing to make an appointment? You can make an appointment in advance, so you won't be in such a hurry. Yi Chen also said, yes, but we're going to look at cars tomorrow. Lu's father said, we'll go for a medical checkup tomorrow morning, which should be enough time. We can go look at cars in the afternoon, and it won't be a problem. If we like one, we'll buy it, and I'll pay for it. Lu's father also spoke generously, as if he were giving his daughter a gift. After all, the in-laws have already bought a car, and when his daughter gets married, it will be considered a dowry. But now that the child is 1 month old, it should be about time to buy the dowry. Yi Chen looked at Lu's father and smiled, then thank you, Dad. Although Yi Chen himself is rich, how could he possibly stop Lu Yina's father from wanting to give his daughter a gift? He would just slowly and reasonably give back the money for the car later. The family immediately decided on the itinerary for the next day. After about 15 minutes, Lu Yina and Ye's mother returned together. Yichen then said to Lu Yana, honey, the staff just said that we need to go for a physical examination and then get vaccinated, so we need to go and get a number for the physical examination now. Lu Yana nodded, right, I think they did tell me that when we were at the hospital, but I forgot. I really am a silly person when I'm pregnant. Yichen held his baby in one arm and stroked her head with the other, you're my silly girl. Lu Yana's face flushed, and when she looked at Yichen's parents and her own parents, all of them were smiling at her face turned even redder. Lu Yana also glared at Yichen, what are you talking about, our parents are still here. She also knew how to blush. After all, such romantic words were better said between the two of them in private, but now in front of so many people, she really felt embarrassed. Chapter 71, First Medical Examination Before Injection. Everyone covered their faces and laughed, we didn't see or hear anything. Smiling, they walked over to the medical examination room with their children in their arms. Yichen first walked over to the numbered paper and pressed it, and the numbered paper came out immediately. Although there was no one inside, the process still had to be followed. As soon as they took the numbered paper, the number was called immediately, which was indeed very fast. The family walked into the medical examination room with their children in their arms, and the doctor was also stunned, who pressed this number. One person holding one child, who wouldn't be stunned? No one would have guessed it was triplets, right? The person who pressed the button comes in, and the others wait outside for their turn, the doctor said immediately. Yichen hurriedly explained to the doctor, I pressed the button, but we are family. The doctor was even more puzzled, family? Ye's mother said, yes, I'm the child's grandmother. Lu's mother followed suit, saying, I'm the child's grandmother too. The doctor finally understood, and his eyes were slightly shocked, you are triplets? Ye's mother immediately replied, yes, doctor. The doctor exclaimed, my goodness. I have never seen triplets before, I have seen more twins. Come in quickly, one by one. Yichen and the others quickly brought the children over, and the doctor gestured for them to put the children on the scale in turn. After a while of fussing, they finally weighed and measured the children. The doctor took a piece of paper and asked Lu Yana, who was standing nearby, to fill in the child's information before writing something on it. Then he looked at the child's limbs, mouth, etc., and examined him again. After about 10 minutes, the child's physical examination was finally over. By this time, it was probably about time for the family to get their vaccinations. The doctor took the paper and looked at it again and again on the computer. Then he said to Yichen and the others, there's nothing wrong with the baby. Since it's a 1-month-old baby, you'd better go to the Women and Children's Hospital for a detailed examination, including a blood test and a bone calcium test. Yichen immediately replied, okay. Thank you, doctor. Yichen took the 3 medical examination papers handed over by the doctor, and Lu's mother and the others also hurriedly thanked the doctor. Yichen and the others also walked out of the physical examination room and returned to the waiting room for the vaccination. They saw that there were still a few people waiting for their turn in front of them, and quite a few people had already left the entire waiting room. After all, it was almost 11 o'clock, and the community service center stopped taking numbers at 11:30, so it was already relatively late. Yichen and the others quickly found a seat and sat down. Wife, come here and rest for a while, you've worked hard. Yichen quickly pressed Lu Yana down in her seat. Then he said to Ye's mother and Lu's mother, Mom, come sit down, it's tiring holding the baby. Lu's mother said, okay, but aren't you going to sit down? There were only a few seats, and he let all the women in the family sit down, while the men stood. Yichen said to Lu's mother, it's okay, I'm young and strong, it's okay to stand for a while, and my little one isn't heavy, so you sit, I won't get in the way. Lu's mother also sat down with a smile, okay, probably just for a little while. I don't know if these little ones will cry then. Ye's mother said, I remember when Shinshin had his first vaccination, he cried so loudly, it was heartbreaking. Lu's mother also said, really? Our Nana didn't cry at all. She was very well behaved as a child, and only cried a little when she got her shots. Ye's mother, this eldest child's temperament is just like Yichen's, he has a very bad temper. Lu's mother, then this youngest child is more like Nana, he is obedient. Ye's mother laughs and says, when he grows up, he must not bully his younger siblings. Lu's mother says, of course, he must be educated well, as an older brother, he must protect his younger siblings. He is also much bigger than his younger siblings, how can he bully them? Chapter 72, finally, the injection. The family was there talking about the childhood of Yichen and Lu Yana, laughing loudly when they got excited. Time passed quickly. Yi Ruibo was asked to go to consultation room 2 for the injection. Now, it was Big Bao's turn. Yi Chen's entourage followed him into the consultation room. The doctor looked at the large group of people entering the room and said to them, "Only those whose names have been called may enter. Anyone else who doesn't want to do this may wait upstairs. I'm the baby's father. I'm the baby's grandmother. I'm the baby's grandfather. I'm the baby's maternal grandfather. I'm the baby's mother." Only the baby's nanny, Auntie Zhang, did not follow them in, but remained outside on a seat, watching the belongings and stroller she had brought with her. The doctor administering the vaccination looked at the 5 or 6 people, and then at the babies in their arms. "You've given birth to 3 babies?" Yi Chen said, "Yes." The doctor, while tidying up the needles, said, "Triplets, that really is quite a surprise." Yi Chen and the others just laughed and didn't say much. "Wake the baby up," the doctor said. "The baby can't fall asleep during the injection, otherwise it will be easily startled." "Oh, okay, I didn't really know that," Lu Yina's mother quickly replied. So she spoke softly, "De Bao, wake up, it's time for your injection." De Bao obviously didn't want to wake up, and after grunting a few times, he fell back asleep. Lu Yina, however, kept filming the whole thing on her phone, recording the scene of her child's first vaccination. The doctor also helped by tickling the child's ear, trying to wake him up, but he just twisted his head a little and went back to sleep. The doctor had no choice but to give Bao Bao a little tap on the hand, which immediately woke him up, and he started to cry. Everyone found it quite funny, and the doctor immediately brought the prepared needles over and asked Ya's mother to show the child's arms. One in each hand, and the child had a lot to cry about. Sure enough, De Bao's lung capacity was quite good. As soon as the needle was stuck in, the crying didn't stop, and the crying got even louder as the needle was stuck in the other arm. The doctor said, "It's okay, this is what happens when you get a vaccination. You just need to press here a little, and then it will be your turn." The doctor was also very patient. As soon as the blood stopped flowing from De Bao's first injection site, he immediately began the second one. De Bao's crying just wouldn't stop. Holding her child, Ye's heart went out to him. She knew that all children cried when they got a shot, and she had already seen other children crying a lot, so she gently soothed De Bao and quickly got the second shot over with. After the 2 injections, Big Bao was crying so hard that his face turned red. He was really grumpy. But it's true, very few children don't cry when they get an injection. Yi Chen's second child and little sweetie also cried when they got their injections, but they didn't cry as hard as Big Bao. After the 2 injections, they both cried out twice and then stopped crying. The eldest child also cried for quite a while afterwards. This eldest child, he just loves to cry and has a bad temper. It was almost 11:30 when the vaccination was finally over. Sitting in the car, Yi Chen also asked Lu Yina, "Nana, do you think there's time in the afternoon to make an appointment for the children's physical examination?" Lu Yina immediately replied, "Let me take a look." She took out her phone, opened the official WeChat account of the Maternal and Child Health Hospital, opened the children's physical examination column, clicked in, and found that there were no more appointments for that day. "There are no more appointments for today, but there are still some for tomorrow." "What time is it tomorrow? Are there any morning appointments?" Yi Chen asked. "Let me see, there are only appointments after 10:30 tomorrow morning, and they are all quite late." "Do you want to make an appointment?" Yi Chen thought for a moment. "Let's make an appointment, even though it's a bit late, but we definitely have to take the kids for a physical examination tomorrow morning." Chapter 73, Anxious as a Monkey. "Then I'll book the 10:30 appointment?" Lu Yina asked. "Yes, let's book that one." "We'll have to leave early tomorrow," Yi Chen said. "Okay, I'll book it now." Lu Yina was tapping something on the phone. "Okay, it's booked. Don't forget to bring the medical examination booklet tomorrow," Yi Chen said with a smile. Then her mind wandered. "Nana, do you need to go back for a checkup after giving birth?" Mommy also worriedly said, "No, you have to go back 42 days after giving birth, and you have to wait until you are clean." Mom Yi has been there before, so she naturally understands. Mom Lu also asked with some concern, "If it's not over yet, then buy some more ginger soup to drink, that will make it faster." The postpartum nanny told me the same thing. Lu Yina, "Mom, don't worry, I'm already done here, I just have to go back for a checkup in 42 days. Don't worry, I'm recovering well." Yi Chen was finally relieved when he heard this. Ye's mother and Lu's mother both hurriedly nodded and said, "That's good, that's good." They quickly returned home, and the baby seemed to have been startled by the injection. Sometimes they get startled when people speak loudly. Lu Yina was also a little worried. But Lu Yana's mother-in-law reassured her, saying, "This is just how it is with children getting injections. If they cry, just hold them and comfort them a little. It's fine, you don't need to worry." Ye's mother also comforted her, saying, "Yes, you can see that little darling is fine and quite calm. It's just that big treasure is a bit more difficult. Just hold him and comfort him a little, give him enough security." Lu Yana nodded in agreement. Everyone understands the reasoning, but seeing her child frightened like that, Lu Yana also felt distressed. So today, she has been breastfeeding her eldest son the whole time to make him feel secure. At around 10:30 p.m., Lu Yana finished feeding her child, put him back to sleep, and then walked back to her bedroom. As soon as she entered the room, she saw Yichen already waiting for her in bed. Lu Yana suddenly felt a sudden pang in her heart. She always felt that something was wrong with Yichen tonight, but she didn't want to say anything, so she closed the door and went back to bed. Yichen had his eyes closed at the moment, but he wasn't asleep, just resting his eyes. He had sensed when Lu Yana opened the door. When Lu Yana quietly lay back on the bed, he also felt a sharp shock in his heart. He let out a deep breath. After lying there for a few minutes, he suddenly leaned over and pressed down on Lu Yana. "Nana, Lu Yana finally understood why Yichen had asked her to go back to the hospital for a checkup in 42 days. This man is really impatient. But that's right, some men will take advantage of their wives being pregnant to go out and cheat on them, not to mention having mistresses. Yichen, on the other hand, has truly waited for me the entire time I was pregnant. And, the entire time I was pregnant, not even once did he do anything, and he endured all of his desires by himself, which was really not easy. It's just that now that I've just finished the month of confinement, and I still have a little bit left, it's really not appropriate." Lu Yana tried to break free from Yichen, but Yichen had already confined Lu Yana to the bed, so she couldn't move at all. Lu Yana lowered her head, blushing as she whispered, "What do you want?" Yichen leaned down and looked at the bashful woman in front of him, then suddenly leaned in close to Lu Yana's ear and said in a hoarse voice, "Don't you know what I want?" Lu Yana coughed twice. She really couldn't stand Yichen provoking her like this, especially Yichen's magnetic low voice that could make someone pregnant if they listened to it. And Yichen obviously also knew that Lu Yana really liked this kind of thing, so while he was rubbing his nose in Lu Yana's ear, he was also breathing hot air. Lu Yana was aroused and her whole body felt limp, so she said in a soft voice, "But I'm not done yet. Let's wait 42 days after the birth before we do that again." Yichen did not stop at all, and whispered in Lu Yana's ear, "Fool." Chapter 74, the couple had an in-depth exchange. Although the two had already had physical intimacy, and a baby had been born as a result. It was just that the two of them had never had a deeper exchange after that night, and before that, it was still Lu Yana who took the initiative, so the relationship between the two had become even more subtle. Although Lu Yana also really wanted to have further development with Yichen, it was obviously not the best time right now. And when Yichen said this, Lu Yana's heart also resisted very much, because her body did not allow it. Yichen whispered in Lu Yana's ear and laughed softly. It seemed that he felt that Lu Yana's face was getting hotter and her body was getting more and more stiff. Yichen laughed and said, "Silly, how could I possibly do something you don't want? After all, for something like this, it has to be consensual. Now that your body has not recovered, I won't do anything reckless, so don't worry." Lu Yana's heart finally let out a sigh of relief. After all, if Yichen had forced himself on her, she would not have been able to resist. Lu Yana also closed her eyes embarrassedly, and Yichen laughed, "I was just teasing you, just relax a little." Yichen lay back in his place, crossing his arms under his head. After a while, Yichen asked, "Do you remember that night?" "I really don't have any impression at all." Lu Yana's face turned even redder as she thought about that night. She clasped her hands in front of her chest, feeling a little overwhelmed. How could she not remember that night? Yichen had been acting like he was letting off steam, and it had been crazy. She had been abused countless times, and by the next day, she was so sore that she could hardly stand. After she left the hotel, people on the street were looking at her strangely. She rested at her best friend's house for a few days before daring to go back to school. Otherwise, when she returned to school, it was estimated that by then there would be a lot of bad rumors about her flying around the school. Lu Yana definitely didn't dare to respond directly to Yichen. After all, now a man and a woman were alone in a room, discussing such a sensitive topic, undoubtedly inviting trouble. Although Lu Yana had never been in a relationship before with Yichen, she had heard a lot about men from others, especially her best friend Gu Yingying, who had talked to her about the relationships between men and women in a way that was downright explicit. Seeing that Lu Yana was too nervous to speak, Yi Chen slowly tried to reassure her. Don't be nervous, I just want to reminisce. To see how heroic I was that day. Of course, Yi Chen himself did not say these words out loud. His own delicate wife was so shy, and he had to teach her step by step, so he could not be impatient. From the red stain on the bedsheet that day, Yi Chen knew that the experience of the great school flower of Xianghua was second only to his own. Therefore, he was also very fortunate about this, and at the same time, he was secretly delighted. Yi Chen thought about this, and also embraced Lu Yana in his arms. Don't be nervous, we are husband and wife, and we will definitely get to know each other better in the future. If you act like this, I will be scared too. After saying that, Yi Chen stopped talking. It was just Yi Chen's best sentence that was reminding Lu Yana. Lu Yana naturally also knew that the best communication between husband and wife was in-depth communication. Without such a life, the relationship between husband and wife would also grow weaker day by day. Lu Yana loved Yi Chen and definitely did not want their relationship to be like that of strangers. She also wanted to be like an ordinary couple with Yi Chen. Therefore, in the future, when she faces Yi Chen's requests in that regard, she definitely cannot be like she was today. Otherwise, the man will be afraid to contact you, afraid to communicate with you, and naturally it will not do any good to the relationship between the two. Lu Yana put her arms around Yi Chen's waist and whispered, I'm just not ready yet, and physically, it's also not a good time. Yi Chen also smiled and patted her head, silly, I was just teasing you. Don't take it to heart, but my husband is waiting for the day you give your consent, okay? Lu Yana snuggled up tightly in Yi Chen's arms and gave a soft grunt. The two fell asleep like this, holding each other. Chapter 75, Baby's 1-month checkup. Early the next morning, the two of them woke up early as well, but Lu Yana was exhausted. The baby seemed a little frightened because it had received its vaccinations the day before, and it was a little fussy. Especially Debao, who was so jumpy. This was Lu Yana's first time being a mother, so naturally she was worried, too, and so she had held Debao in her arms and soothed him for a long time last night. The two younger ones are a bit better, they didn't make much noise, and there are also two mothers and Auntie Zhang to help take care of them. So as the saying goes, having an old person in the family is like having a treasure. Now there are 4 old people in the family, so there are really 4 treasures. Of course, the prerequisite is that the elderly person is nice. If they are bad, they won't even let you hold the baby. And you'll still have to wait on them. So, many things are two-way. If you are kind to people, they will be kind to you. Especially when the new daughter-in-law comes into the family, some elderly people always want to give her a hard time or something, but they don't know that others will remember this and hold it against you. Whenever this past is mentioned, it is not an exaggeration to say it for 3 days and 3 nights. Some elderly people, when their own grandchildren come out, don't even look at them, let alone hug them. And let alone serving their daughter-in-law during her confinement, you didn't help someone when they were at their most difficult time, when will you help? People will definitely remember this confinement grudge to the death, so, being a person, you must have a conscience, and there will always be a reward for your efforts, right? So, they also unanimously decided to let Lu Yana rest at home for a while, and Lu's mother stayed to take care of her. Lu Yana had no choice. She was really tired, so she had Yi Chen record the baby's movements and send them to her. This way, she could remotely watch the baby's physical examination at home. After taking care of everything and packing all the necessary things, the group set off. Yi Chen drove everyone to the Women and Children's Hospital to have the baby's physical examination. However, Yi Chen was thinking about buying a bigger car as soon as possible, as it was really inconvenient. If they bought a motorhome, it would be very convenient if the baby needed to change a diaper or drink water. When they arrived at the Women and Children's Hospital, it was almost 10:30, so they had come just in time. At this time, there were already a lot of people waiting here, some with babies over a year old, some a few months old, some just a month old, and some babies were crying so loudly that they wouldn't let the doctor touch them. Yi Chen took his family and found an empty seat to start waiting. He had already given up on the number called, as the names of his 3 children were already on it, all 3 in a row. As long as the doctor called one of the children's names, then all of his children could be examined together, which was quite convenient. Yi Chen and his family also waited for 10 minutes before they were called, which was almost the same as the appointment time. They estimated that they would probably come at a similar time for the next physical examination. They soon went into the doctor's consultation room for the examination. The doctor was taken aback when he saw Yi Chen and his party walking in such a grand manner, but since the news of someone giving birth to triplets had already spread in the hospital, he quickly recovered. The triplets are here. The doctor also smiled and greeted Yi Chen and the others. Yi Chen also told the doctor, "Yes, we are here for the physical examination, which has just been completed for 1 month." Ye's mother held her eldest son in her arms, placed the physical examination booklet on the table, and said to the doctor, "This is our physical examination booklet, and I'm holding the eldest son." The doctor then said, "Let's start with the eldest son then." While inviting Ye's mother to come over and sit on the stool in front, the doctor said, "The fact that your family gave birth to triplets has already spread throughout our hospital. You are truly so blessed and lucky. All of your babies are so healthy and weigh so much, and none of them need to stay in an incubator." Mrs. Yi was also smiling happily. How could she not be happy when she was being praised like this for her children? Chapter 76, You've worked hard. However, here, they are still very grateful to Nana for what she has done for the Yi family, which has resulted in the safe birth of these 3 babies. When they look back, they must give Yi Chen a good scolding and tell him to be nicer to Nana. Yi Chen is also aggrieved, as he suddenly got scolded. Mother Yi smiled and said to the doctor, "That's because the mother is so great, and our family is grateful for her efforts." "Doctor, that's right, triplets are really not easy, and they all look so good. Young man, you must take the mother to get a good repair." This really reminded Yi Chen, otherwise he really didn't know that he had to get a repair for Lu Yina. He had been focusing on the children before. Yi Chen quickly responded, "Thank you, doctor, I will." Yi Chen had also quietly made a decision at this time. He must take Lu Yina for a repair. "So, doctor, where can I get it done?" The doctor gestured to the nurse on the other side to help measure the height and weight, while saying, "Just hang up at our hospital after giving birth, and you can ask the first doctor to see what repairs to make." Yi Chen, "Oh, okay, doctor." The little ones quickly completed the routine examination. The doctor walked back to the computer and said, typing away, "There is nothing wrong with the height, weight, head circumference, heartbeat, etc. Now I need to check the blood routine, bone density, and a series of reactions. I will now write out a list of tests, and you can pay at the reception desk. The receptionist will tell you which room to go to. Then, after these tests are complete, come back to me and I will help you look at the data." That should be about it. Yi Chen, "Okay, doctor." Ye's mother and aunt held their 2 children, one in each arm, and comforted them. They seemed to have been frightened when their heads were measured. Fortunately, the children had been very well behaved, and when Yi Chen picked them up, they cooed. Yi Chen took the receipt to the cashier at the front desk, paid the fee, and then went to the 3rd floor to have a blood test for the 3 children. The report would not be available for 40 minutes, and then he would come back to do other tests. When the finger was pricked, all 3 children cried uncontrollably. After all, they had to forcefully squeeze out the blood, and even the little angels resisted. There was nothing they could do about it. These days, children have to have these physicals, and they want to see the detailed reports to know what their bodies are lacking, so that they can prescribe the right treatment. After all the other tests were done, 30 minutes had quickly passed. There were mainly newborns, so it took a little longer, but the time was just right. Ye's father took the elevator to the 1st floor to get the blood test report, while Yi Chen and the others stayed on the 5th floor waiting for the other reports to come out. After getting all the reports, they went back to the doctor. The doctor took the reports in Yi Chen's hands and said to them, "You sit here for a while, it's a bit slow with 3 kids." Yi Chen and the others sat down, thinking to themselves, "Luckily, we changed the kids' diapers and gave them water at home, otherwise it would have been really difficult. We arrived a little after 10, and it's almost 12 now, time really flies." The doctor looked at the children's various indicators and compared them. Generally speaking, the children don't have any major problems, except for their bone density, which is not very good. But don't worry too much, as this is a common situation for many newborns, and it will improve as they grow. Just make sure they get enough calcium and vitamin D. "Can the doctor prescribe these at the hospital?" asked Ye's mother, concerned. "The hospital only has vitamin D, not calcium. You can buy milk calcium or liquid calcium at the pharmacy." Yi Chen agreed, "Then just prescribe a few boxes for me, I don't want to run around outside." "Doctor, I'll only prescribe a maximum of 2 boxes for one child, so I'll just prescribe 2 boxes for you. It's also fine for the mother to take some and then breastfeed the baby. And mothers who have just given birth are also advised to take calcium supplements." Yi Chen quickly nodded, "Okay, then prescribe 2 boxes for each child, and the mother can take them too. We can buy the calcium tablets later." Chapter 77, Making Formula for the Baby. Yi Chen, "Okay, doctor, I understand." After the doctor had written out the prescription and Yi Chen had thanked him, he left with his family. As soon as they had left the doctor's office, the system beeped. Yi Chen received a reward of 3 million for helping his child with the physical examination. Yi Chen was not surprised by the reward, as he already had tens of millions in his possession. When he got home, it was already past midnight, and Mrs. Liu had already cooked dinner and was waiting for him to come home. I can't cook either, so I just made a couple of dishes. I was just thinking of stir-frying 2 dishes, and you guys came home. Nana is still asleep, and she hasn't cooked dinner yet, Mrs. Liu said to everyone. Yi Chen said, Mom, let me do it. I'm pretty good at cooking. If you're hungry, just eat first. I'll eat the postpartum meal with Nana later. In the past, it was the postpartum nannies who made the meals for Lu Yana to eat. After the postpartum nannies left, it was Auntie Zhang who made them. Now that they hadn't been made yet, Yi Chen wanted to make a postpartum meal for his wife. Although it had already been 30 days, and in an ordinary household it would already be considered postpartum, Yi Chen still followed the postpartum meal rules and made a rich meal for Lu Yana and served it to her. Yi Chen had just finished cooking when Yi's parents had already finished eating. After filling 2 bowls, one for himself and one for Lu Yana, he took them into the room together. When they got to the room, they saw that Lu Yana was still asleep. But Yi Chen felt a little bad about it. After all, she had really been exhausted last night, and now the baby was going to the doctors for a physical examination, so she would probably have a sleepless night as well. Judging from the current situation, he didn't know if Xiaobai and Erba would be noisy tonight. After all, they had cried a lot today. As Yi Chen thought about this, he hadn't yet decided whether to wake Lu Yana up. When she woke up, Lu Yana's eyes were still half closed, and her voice was hoarse as she said, Honey, you're back? You're awake? Yi Chen was about to go over and help Lu Yana up when the baby in the next room started crying. With Lu's mother and maid Zhang there, Lu Yana quickly climbed out of bed and rushed into the baby's room with Yi Chen. Mom, what's wrong with the baby? Is everything okay? Lu Yana asked worriedly. It's fine, it's probably just hungry. I went out early this morning, and it's almost 1 o'clock now. Yi Chen, the baby didn't eat at the hospital, did it? Lu's mother asked. No, I just took the baby back after the physical examination. Yi Chen replied truthfully. It's been almost 3 hours since the baby ate when we left, so it must be hungry. Lu Yana quickly picked up her eldest child, who was crying the loudest, and said to Yi Chen, you go prepare the formula for the baby and the second child. Yi Chen was also taken aback at this point, because in the past, other people would prepare the formula and he would just feed the baby, but now he was being asked to prepare it, and he didn't even know how to prepare formula. Okay. Yi Chen took on this difficult task. Lu Yana went back to the room with the baby in her arms. Yi Chen turned to ask Lu's mother and Auntie Zhang, how do you make formula milk? Auntie Zhang immediately said, Shinshin, you hold the baby, I'll make the formula milk. Looking at you, you don't know how to make it. Yi Chen insisted, no, now is my chance to learn how to do it properly, otherwise I'll never be able to do it in the future. Yi Chen also thought that if he learned how to make formula, the system would definitely reward him, and it would be a good thing to learn how to make formula. After all, if he learned how to do it in the future, he could make formula for his children more often. Okay, this formula needs to be warmed with water first. The water is kept warm in the incubator at about 45 degrees Celsius. Just pour it directly into the bottle. For this formula, you need to put 1 scoop of powdered milk per 50 milliliters. Now that the 2 little ones are eating well, they don't need much. Usually I make 150 milliliters, but now that I've been gone for so long, I'll just make 200 milliliters. Just pour in 4 scoops of powdered milk. Chapter 78, This son-in-law is just too good. Yi Chen nodded repeatedly, slowly pouring the water as Auntie Zhang had instructed, and he even placed the bottle on a flat surface to watch as he poured 200 milliliters of milk. He then opened the milk powder lid and poured spoonful after spoonful into the bottle. Seeing how serious Yi Chen was, Lu's mother nodded in satisfaction. This son-in-law of ours really is something. He's really too good. After Yi Chen had poured the formula, he quickly picked it up and prepared to shake it. Auntie Zhang and Lu's mother spoke in unison to stop him. Wait, you can't shake it like that. Yi Chen was also confused. I know how to shake it so that there are no bubbles. Don't worry, I've done enough research. He was seen holding 2 bottles and slowly rotating them until the formula had completely dissolved, before handing them to the 2 women. See, I know how to shake formula. Yi Chen also proved himself with his own actions. Lu's mother was relieved. Well, that's good. After taking the milk powder, she fed the babies. The 2 babies quickly finished the 200 milliliters bottle of milk, and after eating and drinking, they fell asleep. At this time, Yi Chen's system rang again. Make milk for the baby and get a reward of 100,000 yuan. Yi Chen just smiled, as making milk for the baby was the right thing to do. So Yi Chen helped clean up the bottle before going back to the room. Seeing Lu Yana feeding the baby with her back to the main door, Yi Chen walked over to the food and said to Lu Yana, "Honey, are you hungry? If you're hungry, shall I feed you?" Lu Yana was also a little stunned. Didn't Yi Chen see me feeding the baby? If he fed me, wouldn't he see it? Lu Yana quickly said, "I'm not hungry." Lu Yana glanced at the 2 bowls of rice in the basin and asked, "Have you not eaten yet? Why else would you have loaded 2 bowls of rice for me?" Lu Yana also understood that Yi Chen knew he could not eat that much, so the other bowl of rice must have been loaded for himself, so he asked him. Yi Chen said, "Yes, I haven't eaten yet. I'm hungry." "You're breastfeeding, so how can you not be hungry? I'll feed you first, so you don't get hungry." After Yi Chen finished speaking, he already brought the rice over and very domineeringly brought a bowl of soup to the edge of Lu Yana's mouth. Naturally, the corner of his eye also saw the grandeur of her breasts. His heart also skipped a beat, but he still pretended to be very calm on the surface. If he also acted surprised, then Lu Yana would definitely be a little overwhelmed. Yi Chen said, "Drink quickly, don't starve." Lu Yana's face just turned red, and Yi Chen couldn't help but shake his head in disbelief. "What should I do? My little wife is actually such a shy person, what should I do?" Yi Chen fed Lu Yana some soup while she pondered this question. Soon, she finished half a bowl of soup. Lu Yana's face suddenly turned pale. Yi Chen hurriedly asked, "Nana, what's wrong?" Lu Yana said awkwardly, "Go look in that bag for the breast pads. I've leaked." Yi Chen took a deep breath, went to the bag by the side, and found the breast pads. Lu Yana commanded, "Take it apart and give it to me, I'll put it in myself." Yi Chen said, "I didn't say I'd help you put it in." After quickly taking it apart, Yi Chen handed it to Lu Yana. Lu Yana took it and, holding her son, who was still breastfeeding, with one hand, gently inserted it into the other side. Lu Yana whispered, "Yi Chen, eat first. Didn't you say this afternoon that you were going to go car shopping with your father?" Yi Chen said, "Don't worry, looking at the car is a trivial matter, the worst that can happen is that we go to see it some other day. The key is that you can't go hungry. If you go hungry during the month after giving birth, it will damage your stomach." Lu Yana still insisted, "I'm almost done feeding, you should eat first. I've already had some soup, I'm completely fine." Seeing that Lu Yana was adamant, Yi Chen had no choice but to listen to her and started eating on the side. Chapter 79, You won't know until you see it, and you'll be shocked when you do. Seeing that Lu Yana was insisting, Yi Chen also started eating on the side. After all, Lu Yana was about to get up and take the baby back to the baby's room. At that moment, the system sounded. The host triggered a special mission, feeding his wife dinner, and was rewarded with the You Are My Only One Diamond series, with a total value of 999 million. At this moment, Yi Chen suddenly found an extra super VLP membership card made of gold in his hand, branded Diamond Family. Yi Chen couldn't help but be shocked, so he asked the system, "Holy shit! Is this my wedding gift? Report to the host, this is a reward." Yi Chen didn't say anything more to it, and took the super VLP membership card made of gold in his hand. Just looking at the weight, it must have cost half a gold bar. This is just a membership card, is it really worth that much? But it's also true that nearly 1 billion yuan has been spent, and if you can't spare a membership card that costs hundreds of thousands of yuan, then you really don't know how to be sensible. Yi Chen also roughly calculated that in the past month, he has earned nearly 20 million yuan in rewards from the system, and counting the previous ones, he should have almost 50 million yuan in cash. Of course, the shares of that Liui baby have not been included, because that is not cash, unless the shares are sold, but now that the maternal and child market is developing so well, it is definitely not worth selling the shares. After all, the dividends from these 20% of the shares are estimated to be several hundred million a year, and what business can make several hundred million a year nowadays? I don't know when the dividends will be distributed, I'll have to ask the system about it later. Yi Chen also picked up his chopsticks at this thought, waiting for Lu Yana to come back for dinner together. Lu Yana came back and saw Yi Chen smiling at her. She also smiled at Yi Chen. "What's so funny?" Yi Chen laughed and said, "I have a present for you." Yi Chen handed Lu Yana the gold Super VVIP membership card for Diamond Family. "We'll go try on the wedding dress together, and buy the hardware we need for the wedding. We should get married soon. I want to make you the happiest bride." Lu Yana didn't know that the card was made of gold, but she did take Yi Chen's proposal of getting married seriously. She said, "That's good. When my mom is free, we can go together. My mom should be free this Sunday." Lu Yana thought that her mother would definitely want to give gold as a dowry, so she thought about going together at that time. Yi Chen smiled and said, "Okay then." Lu Yana and Yi Chen both sat down and slowly began to eat. At this time, Lu Yana suddenly remembered something. "Right, we're almost out of baby formula and diapers, so we have to buy some today." Yi Chen asked, "Can we do it later today? I want to settle the RV thing quickly this afternoon, so it will be much more convenient for us to travel in the future." "It can be a bit later, it's fine either day," Lu Yana replied. Yi Chen was relieved. He had originally wanted the salesman to deliver the milk powder and diapers, but he didn't want his family to pay for it, so it would have to be a bit later. Yi Chen said, "That's good, once we buy the car, we can travel easily." Lu Yana smiled at Yi Chen and suddenly picked up the chopsticks and sent him a carrot. Yi Chen also smiled at Lu Yana, his whole mouth wrapped around the chopsticks, and he gave Lu Yana a kiss sound, as if he had kissed her in the air. Lu Yana almost burst out laughing at him too. Yi Chen also picked up a piece of meat and sent it to Lu Yana's mouth. Lu Yana also bit the chopsticks lightly and put the meat in her mouth, a little shyly. Yi Chen and Lu Yana fed each other, and they finished the meal like this. While Yi Chen was cleaning up the dishes, his phone rang. Yi Chen didn't look at the message with the dishes in his hand, and when he got downstairs, Auntie Zhang immediately took the dishes and carried them into the kitchen. Yi Chen then picked up his phone to read the message. It was just that he didn't know until he read it, and he was shocked when he saw it. Chapter 80, The Child Has Grown Up. Yi Chen looked at the message on his phone and his eyes went wide. It turned out to be a bank account information, and it was written on it that the person who made the transfer was Liui Baby Headquarters. Yi Chen quickly counted it and there were many zeros after 1373. In total, it was more than 137 million yuan. It turns out that Liui Baby pays dividends quarterly, once every 6 months, and there is also a year-end dividend at the end of the year. With this 20% stake of his own, there is more than 100 million in dividends. It really seems like the maternity and baby market is quite profitable. After all, it is now the era of second children, and everyone wants the best for their babies, whether it is formula, disposable diapers, or anything else. They want the best for their babies, as well as a whole range of toys and tableware, and everything else, all of the best. Times have changed. In the past, children were raised in a more natural way, but now, children are raised in a bubble. Therefore, over the past few years, there have been more and more maternity and baby stores opening. Yi Chen was so happy that he didn't know what to do with his phone. At that moment, his father walked over and, seeing Yi Chen smirking, asked, "Chen, what are you smiling about?" Yi Chen immediately handed his phone to his father. "Dad, look, this is the dividend from my shares, and there's so much of it. This is for half a year, and there's a final dividend at the end of the year." Yi Zhen's father also stared straight at the message on Yi Zhen's phone and let out a breath. He thought to himself, "My company is only worth a few 100 million, and you have already earned over 100 million. Although I heard your mother mention buying stocks and shares before, I always thought you were just fooling around. I really didn't expect you to earn over 100 million in just half a year. Well done. You really have surpassed your father." Yi Zhen's father patted Yi Zhen's shoulder heavily. He is very happy to see his son able to stand on his own and be so capable. He can finally rest assured that Yi Chen will take over his company in the future. Although his company is not large, it previously reached a scale of over 1 billion yuan, but recently the company has run into trouble and is not doing well, so his net worth has directly shrunk by half. That is why there have been rumors that he is going bankrupt. But now seeing his son become so successful, he feels relieved. Dadji is hoping that his son can carry forward the Yi family's industry and create new glories. Yi Chen also said, "Dad, give me your account number, and I'll transfer some money to you. I heard that the company is in urgent need of money right now." Daddy kept shaking his head and said, No, you keep the money to raise your children. Dad has money." Although he said that, when Yi Chen got married, they could only come up with a few million. In the past, it would have been no problem to come up with 100 million or two. Ye's father probably still doesn't know that Yi Chen has already given him a house, and Ye's mother probably hasn't told him yet. If he knew that his son had bought a villa worth hundreds of millions of yuan, he would be even more surprised. Because in the past, they also planned to buy a large 5-bedroom, 2-living-room house for Yi Chen to use as a wedding house, but before the plan could be realized, there was a change of plans. If Yi Chen hadn't told them that he had already bought a house, they would have borrowed money to help him put down the down payment. Yi Chen just smiled. Dad, this is a little token of my love for you, please accept it. As you can see, I don't need money at all right now. Finally, when the two were arguing, Ye's mother came. What are you two doing? What are you arguing about? You're disturbing my grandson's sleep. Ye's mother scolded the two of them with a smile. Yi Chen said, Mom, I want to give Dad money to spend, but Dad doesn't want it. Ye's mother also said, What, have you become rich? Watching this father and son arguing about money, and the fact that the son was arguing about spending money on the father, she couldn't help but laugh. She sighed in her heart, her son had really grown up, he could make his own money, he had married and had children, and he cared about his parents. Chapter 81, Come Back Tonight. Yi Chen handed his phone to his mother and said, Mom, look, I just received a bonus from the company, more than 100 million yuan. I can't spend that much on raising my child, right? Yi Mama was also very surprised when she looked at the phone, my goodness. Son, you're so rich? Old man, your son is giving you money to spend, so just keep it. It's rare for your son to be so filial. Yi Mama learned that it was because Yi Chen's company's dividends had been distributed that Yi Chen had given Yi Papa money to spend, so she didn't refuse. Yi Chen said, Mom, I'll transfer you 10 million yuan. So Yi Chen picked up the phone and transferred 10 million yuan to Yi Mama. Because when Yi Chen was studying, it was always Yi Chen's mother who transferred money to him, so she had her mother's account number but not her father's. If she were to transfer such a large sum of money on WeChat, she would have to do it 10 times, because WeChat only allows 1 million yuan to be transferred at a time. Yi Chen then asked Ye's mother for Ye's father's account number and transferred 10 million yuan to him as well. Then, Yi Chen sent Lu Yaina a message saying that he wanted to give his in-laws some pocket money, and then transferred 30 million yuan to Lu Yaina all at once, saying that 10 million yuan of it was for her. Lu Yaina looked at the message on her phone, and within 2 minutes, the information about the bank card came. It turned out that the 30 million yuan had really arrived. Lu Yaina was petrified. So she immediately sent Yi Chen a message, Honey, why did you suddenly transfer so much money to me? Yi Chen showed her a screenshot of the information about the money being credited to his bank card, and then sent another message, Honey, I've made money, the company has given out a bonus. Lu Yaina was relieved, Thank you, honey. Yi Chen replied, Kisses. Lu Yaina blushed, and sent a kiss emoticon back. After receiving Lu Yaina's response, Yi Chen replied, I really want to. Lu Yaina's face turned even redder. After a while, she finally replied, Wait until tonight. Yi Chen felt full of energy after receiving Lu Yaina's response. In fact, throughout Lu Yaina's pregnancy, Yi Chen had carefully protected her and given her plenty of love and care. After all, the two were truly in love, but they still had to be careful with the last line of defense. They didn't want to cast a shadow over each other, did they? Anyway, everything was developing in a positive direction, and Yi Chen was naturally happy. Then, Yi Chen took out his phone and called the saleswoman at June 1st Baby. Hello, I would like to order some milk powder and diapers, but I don't need them right away. Can you deliver them tonight? The saleswoman quickly said, Yes, Mr. Yi, I don't get off work until 10:30 p.m. That's good. Do you have any milk calcium there? The doctor said the baby is a bit calcium deficient. Saleswoman, Yes, Mr. Yi, it's the imported milk calcium. It's always been selling well with us. How much is it? Saleswoman, 156 yuan for a bottle, with 90 capsules. Do you want one bottle? I'll take 5 bottles. Besides the baby, my wife needs some too. Saleswoman, okay, sir, how much formula do you need this time? And what about other things like diapers? Yi Chen, I think I'll take 2 more boxes of formula. The kids are getting bigger and eating more. I'll take 6 boxes of formula and 3 medium-sized packs and 5 large-sized packs of diapers. The 2 smaller ones don't seem to be growing much, but the older one is growing a bit faster. Children do grow fast, especially if they have a big appetite. Well, I was thinking that if the 2 younger ones grow up, they can still use the older brother's large size, and the older brother can buy a new one. The saleswoman also asked, Sir, you have triplets, and you gave birth to 3 baby boys. The saleswoman was also curious and asked, After all, for wealthy families like this, I guess they all want to have sons. They are wealthy and are not afraid of having more children, and they can afford to raise them anyway. Chapter 82 Everyone has. Yi Chen also smiled, 2 boys and a girl, a little daughter. The words of the female salesperson's surprise rang in his ears, My goodness. Mr. Yi, you are really lucky and happy. I have never heard of triplets before in my whole life. Yi Chen smiled and said, "Thank you." Then he asked, "Did you remember everything I just said?" The saleswoman was back to work in an instant. 5 bottles of milk calcium, 6 boxes of milk powder, 3 medium packs and 5 large packs of diapers. Yi Chen thought for a moment and then said, "Buy me a box of pacifiers as well." Yi Chen also thought that the children would need them when they grew up. When they have teeth, they will definitely want to chew on pacifiers. The saleswoman seemed to be writing something on a piece of paper. "Then I'll need another box of pacifiers. There are 10 in a box, and each one costs 20 yuan. Yi Chen, okay. Then you can get them ready and deliver them tonight, because I'll be busy for a while." Saleswoman, "Okay, sir." After Yi Chen finished talking to the saleswoman on the phone, he went with his father and Lu's father to look at the RV. At that time, Lu's father found Yi Chen. "Oh, Yi Chen. You've transferred so much money to me. I can't let you do that." Lu's father also directly grabbed Yi Chen's hand and immediately said that he would return the money to Yi Chen no matter what. Yi Chen said, "I transferred the money to Nana. I was transferring money to my wife. If you want to return the money, you can return it to Nana." Yi Chen also tried to pass the buck, saying that he would never admit to transferring the money to him. After all, his daughter wanted to be filial to her parents, and that was correct, so it was none of Yi Chen's business. Lu's father was also at a loss for words, and said that he had to transfer the money back no matter what. Yi Chen said, "Dad, your daughter is giving you money to spend, so just take it. My parents have taken my pocket money, so it's good that you have taken it too." "What? You? You transferred money to both of us?" Lu's father asked in surprise. "You have to understand that his company only makes a few million yuan a year, but Yi Chen has just transferred 10 million yuan to me as pocket money." At this time, Lu's mother also checked the mobile phone account information and learned that it was Yi Chen who wanted to transfer money to her. She immediately came down to find Yi Chen, and just happened to find Lu's father in the living room talking to Yi Chen about something, and immediately rushed over. "Yi Chen, what's going on? Why have you suddenly transferred so much money to me?" Lu's father immediately said, "Not only did he transfer it to you, he also asked Nana to transfer money to me." Yi Chen had no choice but to take it. At this time, his father intervened. "The kid has become rich, so just take it. Yi Chen's company has distributed dividends, and the half-yearly dividend is more than 130 million yuan. Don't worry, apart from you two, my wife and I have received it, it's fine, just take it. This kid has a lot of money, and in the future, when there are places where money needs to be spent, everyone should feel free to spend. After all, we are all spending money for Yi Chen's family, so just take it." Since Ye's father had also said so, Lu's father and mother, who had initially felt uncomfortable, nodded and kept the money. "Since the father-in-law has said so, we can't refuse anymore. We'll keep the money and use it as a wedding gift for Nana." Yi Chen said with a smile, "Dad, you mustn't. In the future, I will definitely respect you when I make money. After all, you only have Nana as a daughter, and you are like another parent to me. In the future, there will be no distinction between family members. I will definitely make sure that everyone is rich, right? As children, we will definitely respect our parents when we make money, won't we? Father-in-law, you have taught your son well, he is so filial." Mrs. Lu also praised him. Yi Chen thought to himself, "I have to give Auntie Zhang a pay rise and a bonus later." Chapter 83, Something for Everyone. After all, Auntie Zhang has had a hard time. From the time the baby was born until now, she has never had a proper rest, and she has always worked hard for her family without complaint. So, before setting off to look at the RV, Yi Chen found Auntie Zhang and told her that starting next month, her salary would be increased by half, and she would also be given 100,000 yuan. At first, Auntie Zhang said she wouldn't accept anything, but when Yi Chen showed her the message that he had received more than 130 million yuan, she happily accepted. "Chen, you're a capable boy." Auntie Zhang was also very gratified. After all, Yi Chen had grown up in her sight, and seeing her child grow up to be so successful, she was also happy for him. Originally, her salary was issued by Ye's mother, a little over 10,000 yuan a month, but now Yi Chen told her that in the future, he would issue her salary, which would be 25,000 yuan, plus a year-end bonus and so on. After Yi Chen finished talking to Auntie Zhang, he called Ye's father and Lu's father to go to Minghui car dealership to look at cars. When they arrived at the car dealership, the male salesperson who had previously greeted Yi Chen quickly walked up to the door to greet Yi Chen. This was a car he had sold, and he had also handled the paperwork, including the license plate, so of course he recognized it immediately. "Hello, Mr. Yi. The male salesperson immediately welcomed Yi Chen in and asked why he was so free to come for tea today. Seeing only two middle-aged men getting out of the car one after the other, he said to them enthusiastically, "Oh, you're here too, uncle, come in quickly." Yi Chen then introduced, "This is my father, and this is my father-in-law. We're here to look at recreational vehicles today, and we'll buy one if it's suitable." "Great." The salesman enthusiastically ushered the three of them in, then told the receptionist to make some tea. "I don't know if Mr. Yi has a budget or anything like that," the salesman tentatively asked. "No, I just want to take a look. If I like it, I'll buy it no matter what it costs." Yi Chen's words were very generous. Yes, father also said, "Yes, the key is to see if it's suitable." "Do you have any cars here?" The salesman said, "Yes, I do. I'll take you to see the cars right now. Go up and take a look at the interior and feel it for yourself." So after they had a sip of the hot tea, the salesman immediately took them to see the cars. "Hello, distinguished guests, we have several brands here: Geely, Ford, Sesi, Hyundai, and Mercedes-Benz, and Chase, total of more than a dozen brands. I wonder which ones you would like to see. Let's just look at SAIC, Geely, and Hyundai and see how these are." "Yes," father said. "I would like to see Mercedes-Benz." Yi Chen said, after all, the car he is driving now is from this brand. The male salesperson also brightened up when he heard this. "Mr. Yi, we only have one Mercedes-Benz here. If you want to see it, I can show you first, and then you can go see the others." "That's good." Both Mr. Liu and Mr. Yi nodded in agreement. The group walked together to the Mercedes-Benz area, and on the way they saw many large recreational vehicles, as long, high and large as buses. These recreational vehicles are nice, but they are not practical. You have to find a special parking space outside, and if they are too long, it is not easy to park them, said Liu's father. Yes, father agreed. Yes, we just want to travel conveniently. If we make so much trouble because of the car, it is really not necessary. Yi Chen also said, "Yes, I think if the children grow up and want to drive to go out and play, we can buy one of these RVs. But for now, we should focus on practicality. After all, we don't drive out often." "I don't think it's necessary either." At this time, the salesman said, "Let me introduce you to all the RVs in our dealership. You can see this front row, they are the ones that more people choose to travel in an RV. The prices are relatively affordable, around 300,000 yuan. They are also of a moderate size, and they have everything you need. Some have one bed, some have two, and there are 4-seat and 6-seat models, depending on your choice." Yes, father said, "Naturally, the more seats, the better. There are 4 of us, plus a few children, so we definitely need more seats, right?" "Yes, you're right." Liu's father agreed. "I think something as big as an ambulance would be fine, and the most important thing is comfort, right?" Both nodded. Yi Chen also followed the salesperson while looking at the RVs here. The size of these RVs is all too big. After all, it's not that they can't afford it, but it's just impractical. Along the way, Yi Chen has already seen almost all the RVs, and he hasn't seen a satisfactory model. Either they are weirdly shaped, or they are too long and too high. There really isn't a satisfactory one. With Yi Chen's allowance, Liu's father doesn't care how much these cars cost. He'll buy whatever is suitable, as long as it's for the family. This is Geely's new energy RV, but the length of the car usually exceeds the length of an ordinary parking space. If you want to park by the roadside, you don't need to consider this one. A motorhome like this Ford Model T is already relatively small, but it is also over 5 meters long. A typical parking space is 5.5 meters long, but it's not impossible to park it there. It just has to be a bit more compact. I don't know if you have considered buying a commercial vehicle?" the salesman asked tentatively. "As long as it can park, I won't consider a commercial vehicle," said Liu's father. "If it's a recreational vehicle, it's more convenient for the baby to drink milk and put the formula, so that every time you go out, you don't have to carry a lot of bags, you can just leave it there." Obviously, Yi Chen and Ye's father also thought the same way, nodding in agreement. "So, do you want to take a look at the Ford over here first? Or should we go straight to the Mercedes-Benz cars?" the salesman asked. "Let's take a look at them all together, we have plenty of time." Yes, father said. "Do you all have cars here that are ready to go? Can I just take them away?" Liu's father asked. "Yes, uncle, we can all pay here and drive away directly," the salesman replied with a smile. Yi Chen also paid several million to take down 3 cars last time, and he was the top salesperson in the entire team last month. The thought of being able to sell another luxury car today made him feel good. This RV is worth at least a few 100,000 yuan, and from the looks of things, even if they look at the Ford or Hyundai RVs now, they are also worth a few 100,000 yuan. Not to mention the Mercedes-Benz, they have to be convinced to buy the most expensive one. Chapter 84, Finally bought the RV. In addition, we also have a Type B RV here, you can also go and have a look. At this time, Ye's father and Lu's father whispered to each other, actually, this car is more or less the same. I think we should just get the most expensive one. Yes, it's not like we can't afford it, of course the most expensive one is the best. I also want to go back and see my grandchildren, after all, I still have to rush back to the company, and I won't be here for a few more days. Yes, I have to go back to the office tomorrow too, and I miss these little ones. Lu's father said with a little sadness. Yi Chen naturally heard the two men's conversation and knew that they didn't want to continue shopping. At first, he thought that his father and father-in-law would be frugal and try out all the cars before slowly discussing them. He didn't expect that both of them would be so generous because of a few grandchildren. But this is true. There are a dozen motorhomes in a row, and there are probably 50 or 60 here. The owner is also very capable, with dozens of vehicles in stock. The male salesperson also heard what the two old men said, and he was happy in his heart. Yi Chen looked at the two old men who were eager for their grandchildren, and said to the male salesperson, which is the most expensive and best vehicle that suits our requirements? Let's just go see that one. I'm in a hurry. Yes, there is. Please follow me over here. It is the Mercedes-Benz C-Class Estate, the extended version of the RV you want to see. The male salesperson quickly walked over to show the way, and after 2 turns, he found it. The male salesperson led Yi Chen and the others over, and immediately opened the car door and introduced it. If you want a high-end C-Class RV, it is undoubtedly the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter RV. The Sprinter C chassis, a luxury RV chassis built for business and family with its dignified and imposing appearance, surging and outstanding power, and solid and reliable performance, vividly demonstrates Mercedes-Benz's unremitting pursuit of the perfect model. It also meets everyone's requirements. Look at this FRP integrated model cabin, with a German imported Mercedes-Benz chassis, a previous body color that shows off the nobility and the domineering body. Please get in the car and experience the suitability of the car. The male salesperson quickly assumed a polite posture and invited Yi Chen and the others to get in the car together. As you can see, this is a luxury door specially designed for RVs. It has an insect-proof door and electric double-step entry. As a high-end business C-Class RV, the interior comfort and luxury of the French-American Mercedes-Benz Extended Edition need no further explanation. Cream-colored leather upholstery, a leather sofa, yacht-grade wooden floors, and high-quality household appliances will make your journey as relaxing as possible. The leather design of the armchair is thick and full, with a delicate texture, moderate firmness, and good breathability. The electric lifting tabletop can be flattened into a bed measuring 1,700 mm long by 900 mm wide. Yijin saw that both Yi and Lu were nodding their heads, and Yijin was also very satisfied with the interior. There is a charging port here, which can be used to charge mobile phones and also to heat milk using an induction cooker. The Domtech 190L refrigerator behind the seat is also very impressive. This large appliance looks big, but in fact it only requires 12V, which is energy saving and can be installed. The disinfection cabinet behind the sofa integrates disinfection, storage and cleaning, and saves space accordingly. The salesman also kept talking there for a long time, and finally arrived at the driver's cab. The spacious driver's space provides an open driving view. The cab is mainly black and white, with burgundy and the wood grain color of the center console and steering wheel as accents, which gives it a deep and majestic feel. Lu's father also said very matter-of-factly, "You're a good young man." Ye's father also said, "Well, it sounds very professional." The salesman also said modestly, "That's my job." Thanks for the compliment. Ye's father and Lu's father both smiled at each other. Yi Chen, what do you think of this car? Asked Ye's father. I think it's okay, the interior and everything is quite atmospheric. Yi Chen replied. I like it here. Ye's father was sitting in the seat opposite the booth. Look at me, I'm sitting here, and then the booth opposite can be lowered directly, so that your mother and my wife can take the 3 grandchildren up there to play or sleep or whatever, and my wife's father and I can sit here watching them, taking photos and so on. How nice. Lu's father also said, yes, this is pretty good. I don't know about other cars, but this one has it, so that's good. Lu's father was overjoyed. Yi Chen heard that both of his fathers said that the car was good, so he said with a big heart, let's buy it then. I also think this car is pretty good. Shall I send a photo to the two mothers and Nana to ask them? Come on, take a photo and post it to the group to ask the three mothers if they like it? Ye's father immediately became the photographer, taking photos and videos. Lou's father did the same, and even sent a voice message saying what he liked about the car. Lou Yana and the two mothers also saw it at home, so the family chatted in the family group. The family was generally quite satisfied with the car, so they decided on the spot. After all the discounts, it was only 1.59 million. The paperwork and such was quickly done and signed, and after everything was done, his father and the others were waiting while drinking tea. After waiting for a few minutes, Lou's father and his father couldn't hold back any longer. Yi-Chen, you're going to drive home anyway, so why don't you and I go home first, and you can stay here and drive the car back later. Yi-Chen saw that the two men were eager to see their grandchildren, so he didn't stop them. Okay, you go home, I'll drive back as soon as I'm done here. After Ye's father and Lou's father took the car keys, they immediately drove away. Yi-Chen stayed behind and waited, and while he was waiting, he asked the male salesperson to teach him how to operate the car. The salesperson was very enthusiastic and explained everything to Yi-Chen with the help of the manual. After Yi-Chen had become familiar with all the controls in the car, the system beeped. Congratulations, host, for taking the initiative to learn how to drive a motorhome for your baby, triggering a special reward. The system rewards you with a plot of land measuring 2,000 square meters on the second ring of the city. Yi-Chen was shocked and couldn't help but ask the system, oh my god. 2,000 square meters of land in the second ring. Are you kidding me? Are all your system rewards randomly selected? Are they that unreliable? Hello, host, the system's special rewards are random. Yi-Chen was stunned. It really is random. No wonder. Chapter 85, oh my god. It's a gold card. And when Yi-Chen drove home happily, it was already past 5 p.m., almost 6 p.m. After Yi-Chen drove the car back, the family members hurriedly came out and went up to try it out. Yi-Chen took Lu Yana's hand and whispered in her ear, you said it, come back tonight. Lu Yana also blushed and glared at Yi-Chen, nuisance. Yi-Chen's heart was fluttering. Everyone had finished looking at the new car and was very satisfied with it. Before dinner, Yi-Chen called the saleswoman, hello, can you deliver it around 7 o'clock? The saleswoman quickly replied, yes, sir. I will definitely deliver it before 7 o'clock. After Yi-Chen finished dinner, the saleswoman delivered everything, and this time, she brought Yi-Chen 3 strollers. Hello Mr. Yi, this is a gift from our company to thank you for your support. When Yi-Chen came out, the saleswoman had already started to unload the cartons from the car one by one, and the driver also got out to help. Yi-Chen said, thank you very much, just leave it here, I'll move it in later. Yi-Chen didn't want anyone else to come into the house, so he asked them to leave the things by the side of the villa entrance and he would move them back in later. The saleswoman quickly nodded and called out to the driver to help her carry the things, honey, you carry the milk powder, I'll carry the rest. It turned out that the man was her husband. It was also true that it was late at night, and her husband must have been worried, so he came over to help with the delivery. Yi-Chen also smiled and didn't say anything. After everything was settled, Yi-Chen gave her the same 200 yuan tip as last time. The saleswoman thanked Yi-Chen repeatedly before getting into her husband's car and going home. Yi-Chen saw them leave and began to carry the things back upstairs. Ye's father and Lu's father were all playing with the baby in the baby's room, because they had to go back to the company in a while. After Yi-Chen had carried the things into the room, he returned to the room and said to Lu Yana, wife, come with me to a place tonight. I have a gift for you. What? Didn't you just give me the villa? Why are you giving me a gift again? Just get changed and come with me. It's not a big deal, just some small gifts. Remember to bring the gold card. Yi-Chen didn't know what the diamond set from the diamond family was, so he could only say it was a small gift. Well, that's fine. Luckily, I slept a lot today, so I'm not sleepy yet. I'll get changed and go with you in a bit. Lu Yana quickly got up and went into the closet to get changed. She found that none of her old clothes fit anymore, so she had to find some clothes from the early stages of pregnancy to wear. Yi-Chen looked at Lu Yana, who had not finished getting dressed after so long, and asked from outside the door, honey, what's wrong? It's been so long, is everything okay? Lu Yana said with some embarrassment, none of my old clothes fit anymore, so I had to find some clothes from the early stages of pregnancy to wear. I've gained almost 20 pounds, and my calves can't even go into the pants anymore. Facing the time when she weighed over 90 pounds, Lu Yana also started to worry. Sorry, it's my husband who didn't think of this. Let's go buy some clothes on the way. My husband hasn't gone shopping with you before, so you can buy whatever you want. Got it? Lu Yana nodded inside, quickly changed her clothes, and then walked out. Anyway, the old Lu Yana had a devilish figure and an angelic face. 168 centimeters tall, weighing only 95 kilograms, she had a nice figure. Now, not only has the size of her breasts increased, but there is also a lot more flesh on her butt and all over her body. Oh dear, if I'm going out, I need to pump first, otherwise it will get really full. Now, after about a month, Lu Yina's milk has also become quite plentiful. After feeding one baby, she can feed the other one again. If both babies are full, she can only pump the milk out. She had just breastfed before dinner, and it had only been an hour and a half, but Lu Yana had to express her milk because if it wasn't emptied within 4 hours, it would become painful. The more the baby eats, the more milk he produces, but the milk gradually decreases after it becomes engorged. Lu Yana didn't want her milk to become engorged again, so she quickly grabbed the breast pump and went into the closet to express her milk. Yichen also looked at his wife with a little smile. There was nothing he could do. Lu Yana was a competent mother who did everything herself. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Lu Yana had expressed more than 100 milliliters of milk. She didn't have time to put it away, so she just left it there and said to Yichen, "Let's go. I'll ask Auntie Zhang to wash the breast pump for me." Lu Yana naturally knew that she had delayed things a bit by being so busy. Yichen said, "Well, if Auntie Zhang is busy, it's fine if we come back and wash it." So the two of them said hello to their families and drove off together. Ye's mother and Lu's mother smiled at each other and continued to take their grandchildren out. The two elderly women hoped to see their grandchildren get along well with each other and that their family would live in harmony. Yichen drove the car and talked with Lu Yana about the changes in their children over the past few days. They arrived at the largest shopping mall in fragrant city, Demingfa. On the first floor, they found the Diamond Family counter. At this time, a very beautiful female salesperson also came up and said to Yichen and Lu Yana, "Hello, what would you like to see?" For this type of young man and woman, they just want to buy a diamond or gold worth a few $1,000s as a gift. They are not considered rich people, nor are they high-spending people. So the saleswoman didn't treat the two of them with much enthusiasm at this time, until she saw Yichen signal Lu Yana to take out the gold card. Her eyes really widened. Yichen placed the gold card in front of the saleswoman. "I'll take the jewelry I ordered." This really scared the saleswoman, and she quickly took the gold card from Yichen's hand, saying, "Yes, sir. I'll tell the manager right away." You have to know that she has been working here for almost 5 years and no one has ever taken the gold card before. This gold card is only given to big clients who have spent more than 500 million yuan. My goodness! 500 million yuan. She could work her whole life and still not earn even a fraction of what someone else spent. Just this one card has completely blown her away. She immediately went into the back room and asked for the manager. Chapter 86. Don't save money for your husband. Manager Lu was shocked when he saw the clerk walk in with a gold card. You have to understand that people who can spend more than 500 million yuan are not ordinary people. They must have a net worth of tens or even hundreds of billions of yuan. Naturally, high-quality customers like this have to be well taken care of. Manager Lu hurriedly rushed out as well. After straightening his tie, he smiled at Yichen and said, "Hello, sir and madam, may I help you?" Yichen said, "I'm here to pick up something." Manager Lu asked, "May I ask, sir, your last name?" "I'm Yichen. Not long ago, I ordered the entire diamond series of You Are My Only One here. I'm here to pick it up." Manager Lu is also shocked, because just last night he was summoned to the headquarters for a meeting about the fact that the You Are My Only One collection had been ordered. And the name mentioned at the meeting was Yichen. And with the gold card in Yichen's hand, Manager Lu has basically determined Yichen's true identity. "Mr. Yi, I'm really sorry that I didn't recognize you the first time we met." "Yichen, that's okay. Thank you for your understanding." Manager Lu said with a smile, "Regarding the fact that you want to take away the entire series of diamond jewelry called You Are My Only One from our store today, since we are only a branch here, you will have to go to the headquarters to get it. It may take a little time, about half an hour. I'm really sorry to trouble you and the young lady to wait here for a while." Manager Lu said with great respect on her face. Yichen, however, said nonchalantly, "That's fine, let's just take a stroll here for a while, and just give me a call when you're done. It's just the right time to take Lu Yana for a stroll here and buy some clothes, bags, and the like." Manager Lu was also relieved. She was wondering how to explain to the customer, but Yichen was so agreeable. Yi Chen really had a good time with them, took back the gold card, and walked out of the Diamond family with Lu Yana, going to the clothing store next door to pick out some clothes. This is a garment designed by a very famous local designer in Xiangqing. Lu Yana saw it and really liked the design. These clothes are not the kind that are sold in the street, and the handmade clothes bought here can guarantee that there is no second one. And the designs of the other clothes in the store are also very unique. It is precisely because of this uniqueness that this brand is also very famous in Xiangqing, no less than the major brands. And this clothing brand is called Eleli, named after the designer Li Liu. Yi Chen saw that Lu Yana liked it, so he simply helped Lu Yana pick it up. However, Lu Yana took the tag and looked at it. Holy cow! This t-shirt is actually over 3,000 yuan. That's too expensive. A t-shirt costs 3,000 yuan, so you can imagine that the other things are even more expensive. Lu Yana had over 10 million yuan in her hands from Yi Chen, but after all, she wasn't the kind of woman who spent money like water. Although Lu Yana's family conditions are very poor, she is not the kind of woman who only loves designer brands. You have to know that the clothes she usually wears are bought for tens of dollars or $100, and she only wears the more expensive dresses for slightly more formal gatherings and the like. Girls naturally like to compare themselves with others, but Lu Yana is not like that. Although she is pretty, she doesn't like to compare herself with those at school, nor does she like to get together with them. Therefore, many people often feel that she is a bit different, and even think that she is aloof. Lu Yana looked at the t-shirt in her hands. Although she really liked it, she didn't think it was necessary to buy such an expensive piece of clothing. This brand of clothing, Lu Yana didn't know, just felt that it wasn't some big name like Chanel, and it shouldn't be very expensive. At most, it would be a t-shirt for about 200. She didn't expect that this t-shirt would cost 3,000. Although she knew Yi Chen was rich now, and she was rich herself, she still didn't think it was necessary to buy a t-shirt for more than 3,000 yuan, it was too expensive. Yi Chen also saw the fondness in Lu Yana's eyes at first, but when she saw the tag, the light in her eyes suddenly dimmed. Did she feel it was too expensive to buy? So, Yi Chen said to Lu Yana, "Honey, this is also our first time shopping together. If we see something we like, let's buy it, okay? Don't worry, honey, I'm rich." Lu Yana blinked, "But I just don't think it's worth it. A t-shirt costs 3,000 yuan. Yi Chen quickly said, "Honey, as long as you like it, we'll buy it. It's hard to find what you really want, so if you like it, I'll buy it for you." Lu Yana looked at Yi Chen with emotion. "Thank you, honey. I won't be rude then." Originally, she just wanted to save money, but Yi Chen had already said that this was their first time going shopping together, so they might as well relax and buy whatever they like. Yi Chen also appreciates this about Lu Yana. After all, some women go shopping with their boyfriends or husbands and just want to buy expensive things, without thinking about their boyfriends or husbands at all. Usually, after a shopping trip, the man may have to spend several months' salary, or several years' savings. What's more, it is also very likely that they will have to pay off their credit cards. The saleswoman overheard the conversation between the two and thought to herself, "I haven't even taken their order yet. Looks like this couple is a good bet. You won't be leaving my store until you've spent 30,000 to 50,000 yuan." For her, spending tens of thousands of yuan here is just average. Because she has also encountered people who don't know what brand they are in this store and just wander in, she doesn't really bother to serve people who just look around and don't buy anything. Obviously, from the way Lu Yana looked, she was one of those customers who didn't know her brand, because people who knew her brand wouldn't pick up the tag on the clothes to see the price. But when she heard Yi Chen say that the woman should go shopping, she knew that the sale was a sure thing. The saleswoman smiled at the two of them and said, "Wow, this lady, your boyfriend is really very good to you." Yi Chen immediately corrected her, "We are a certified husband and wife." At first, the saleswoman thought the two were so young that they were calling each other husband and wife like boyfriends and girlfriends, and she didn't realize that they were already married. Although she was a little shocked, she immediately recovered. "Oh, I'm so sorry. Sir, you are really lucky to have married such a beautiful and virtuous wife." Chapter 87, Swipe Your Card for Me. The saleswoman also sincerely praised her. After all, she has seen many beautiful women like Lu Yana. Many of those who come here come with their boyfriends, and they spend money regardless of the price. But this man and woman in front of her are actually married, and they are actually saving money for their husband. Seeing Yi Chen actually telling someone in public that he is her husband, she was secretly pleased. Blushing, she said to the clerk, "Thank you." Yi Chen just smiled at the saleswoman and didn't say anything. The saleswoman also smiled as she introduced the store's products to Lu Yana, and kept praising Lu Yana for finding such a good husband who loved his wife. Lu Yana was blushing the whole time, and although she agreed with this, she still blushed when being praised by others. Yi Chen is now only concerned about his wife, what kind of clothes she likes, what colors, and what bags. He doesn't care about anything else. After all, this is also the first time he has taken Lu Yana out alone to buy clothes, jewelry, and bags. In the past, they always shopped at baby and maternity stores, or they went with their parents. So, he wants to make a good note of his wife's interests. Lu Yana picked up a dress and asked Yi Chen, "Honey, does this dress look good?" Yi Chen glanced at it and smiled, "Why don't we try it on?" "How do you know if it fits if you don't try it on?" Lu Yana glanced at the eager look in the saleswoman's eyes and then at Yi Chen, "Okay then." The saleswoman immediately led Lu Yana into the fitting room and thoughtfully closed the door behind her. Yi Chen had already picked out a lot of clothes for Lu Yana, but they were all large sizes. Lu Yana called out from inside, "Hubby, come in for a second." "Huh? The fitting room, let me in for a moment?" Yi Chen was also confused, and at this time the door had already opened. Yi Chen had no choice but to follow in with a pile of clothes. Fortunately, it was very spacious inside, and there was probably enough room for 5 people to stand without a problem. There were also 2 stools and a clothes drying rod inside. At this time, Lu Yana had her back to Yi Chen, "Honey, you close the door first, I can't zip this up, so help me." Yi Chen took in the clothes that Lu Yana had just looked at, as well as the clothes he himself thought were good, and put them on one of the stools on one side. He quickly came over to help her zip up the dress. After zipping it up, Lu Yana turned around and said to Yi Chen with a smile, "Honey, this dress is just right. I was thinking of trying a medium size, but I ended up taking a large size, and I didn't expect it to fit quite so well." She also sighed a little. "I remember when I used to wear small and medium sizes, I had such a slim figure." Yi Chen didn't say anything, and directly held Lu Yana tightly in his arms. "You're not fat now, and this body shape is a bit meaty, just right. No matter what you become, I don't care. If you really want to get back in shape, how about I go help you make a weight loss plan at the beauty shop? And a postpartum repair plan." Yi Chen paused for a moment and glanced at the bashful woman in his arms. "The doctor also told me before that it is best for women to do postpartum repair after giving birth, otherwise it will be harmful to their bodies. I think we should both listen to the doctor." Lu Yana gently rested her head in Yi Chen's arms and said softly, "Okay, I'll listen to you." Yi Chen continued, "Let's go buy all the clothes you need today, and buy whatever you want." Lu Yana also whispered, "Okay." Yi Chen was satisfied, and pointed to a pile of clothes on a stool and said, "Let's try on all these clothes today. Although it will take a while, let the people from the Diamond family wait for us." Lu Yana obediently nodded and kissed Yi Chen's face. "Honey, you're so good." "Silly, if I'm not good to you, then I'm not good to anyone." With his right hand, Yi Chen directly held Lu Yana's head down and kissed her overpoweringly. The two of them just kept kissing for several minutes in the fitting room. Lu Yana really couldn't breathe anymore, so she pushed Yi Chen away and took a few big breaths of fresh air. "I can't do it anymore, I can't breathe, and there are people waiting outside," Lu Yana said, panting. Yi Chen hurriedly helped her catch her breath. Okay, take your time, next time I'll kiss you for a shorter time, so you won't feel so bad." In fact, Yi Chen was also a little breathless, but he still wanted to continue kissing. There seemed to be a kind of magic on Lu Yana's body that attracted him, but he didn't expect Lu Yana to be unable to bear it, and it was his negligence. Yi Chen obviously knew that he had gone too far, so he quickly asked Lu Yana to sit down and rest, helped her catch her breath, and when she looked less red in the face, he said, "Are we going out now?" "Of course we have to go out. We've been in here for almost 10 minutes, and people will get the wrong idea." Lu Yana's face flushed again. Probably, they've heard about the news about the person in the fitting room on the internet. If they really stay for so long, people will definitely get the wrong idea. After tidying up their clothes, the two opened the door and went out. At this time, the saleswoman did not stand guard outside the door, but went over to the cash register. Lu Yana was relieved. After all, this is a public place, and it is better to behave with restraint. After Lu Yana walked out, she pretended to be calm and walked over to the full-length mirror, looking at herself in the mirror. Yi Chen also walked out at this time and stood next to her. Yi Chen looked at the two people in the mirror and said, "Why don't we buy matching outfits together again? The clothes from this brand are quite nice. I saw that t-shirt just now had matching outfits." Upon hearing this, the saleswoman immediately introduced them to all the couple outfits in the store. Yi Chen also encouraged Lu Yana to go in and try on all the clothes, and even when the jewelry store called, Yi Chen just asked them to wait a moment. Lu Yana was also very happy. The two of them tried on all the couple outfits, as if they were a couple in love. The two of them tried on the outfits here for about 40 minutes. Yi Chen took the ones that weren't very good looking and put them aside, then told the saleswoman, "I'll take all of these, except for these." Lu Yana quickly said, "We can't wear that many of these, just a few sets will be fine, there's no need to buy so many." Yi Chen smiled and said, "It's okay, one set a day is fine." Lu Yana was at her wits' end with him, so she had the saleswoman wrap up all the dozen sets. After calculating the price, the saleswoman told Yi Chen, "Hello sir, after the discount, it's 230,000 yuan. 230,000 yuan. Naturally, it's a credit card, so don't ask, who would carry hundreds of thousands of yuan around on the street?" Yi Chen skillfully took out his card and said, "Swipe the card." Chapter 88, Uninvited Guests. The saleswoman immediately took the bank card and picked up the card reader to make some adjustments. The card was successfully swiped. 230,000 yuan. Not even a credit card was needed. This is truly a wealthy person. After packing everything, the saleswoman saw Yi Chen and his girlfriend off to the door, and then saw them walk into the jewelry store together. Words cannot describe the envy and jealousy in her eyes. The saleswoman pouted, "When will I meet such a good man too?" After saying that, she sulkily walked back into the store. At this moment, the system beeped. "Congratulations, host, for making the baby's mother happy, you are rewarded with an entrance ticket to a charity gala." What? A charity gala? What is that? Yi Chen was a little confused in his heart. Why would the system reward him with such a thing? Does it mean that Lu Yana has to wear the diamond set to the charity gala? In that case, I'd better go look at some evening dresses. After thinking about it, Yi Chen walked into the Diamond family with more than 10 shopping bags in his hands, together with Lu Yana. In the store, apart from the manager, the general manager of the headquarters also came along, and there were also several more security guards in the store. After all, they had nearly 1 billion worth of jewelry in their hands. Could they not be panicked? Seeing the buyers return, a group of more than 10 people quickly came up to them. "Hello Mr. Yi, we've been waiting for you to return. The diamond jewelry you bought from our You Are My One and Only collection has been delivered, please check it." Yi Chen, okay. The manager led Yi Chen to the store's lounge, which was for people who came to clean their jewelry to sit and rest. Of course, the other staff in the store dispersed, and the security guards stood by. At this time, an unexpected guest came from the entrance of the store. This person was Yi Chen's ex-girlfriend, Li Yi. It was seen that Li Yi was walking into the jewelry store with the hand of a young man. The clerk, seeing the well-dressed Li Yi and the young man, naturally greeted them warmly. "Hello." Li Yi just glanced at the female clerk, then took out her finger and looked at it, not even looking at her. "Bring out the diamond rings with more than 1 carat here." The man, however, kept looking at his phone, as if he wasn't interested. Li Wei, however, was sharp-eyed and had already noticed Yi Chen. There were also so many people surrounding him as he walked past, seemingly trying to do something. So, she whispered something in the ear of the man next to her, and the man laughed lightly. "Even before his family went bankrupt, it was no match for my family." This man was a school celebrity named Guoming. His family had assets of more than 1 billion yuan, but in Xiangqing, it was only considered a third-rate family. Before Yi Chen's family encountered any problems, it was also similar to Guoming's family. At this time, Guoming naturally also knew what had happened to Yi Chen's family, so he was even more disdainful of Yi Chen. However, Guoming discovered that Yi Chen was sitting with Lu Yana, the school's beauty queen. This made Guoming feel a little uncomfortable. Because Guoming is also one of Lu Yana's suitors, and he has been pursuing Lu Yana since the beginning of his freshman year. However, in the past few years, he has not kept himself pure for Lu Yana, and his attitude has been one of riding a bull while keeping a steady horse. He has been seen entering and leaving with other women several times, and naturally, Lu Yana does not feel good about it. Li Yi has obviously also discovered something wrong with her boyfriend, so she asks, "What's wrong?" Guoming snorts in contempt, "Humph. What a day. The woman sitting with Yi Chen is Lu Yana." Li Yi was not at all surprised. "I heard that they dropped out of school to have a baby. I don't know when they got together. It's less than a year since I broke up with him. They even have a child already." Guoming was also furious. After all, he had also been chasing Lu Yana for a few years, but he never even got the chance to have dinner together, but Yi Chen got her in no time. How could he not be angry? So, he took Li Yi directly to Yi Chen and their side. Now, Li Yi's plan had succeeded. Yi Chen, long time no see. Li Yi greeted Yi Chen with a smile, but did not even look at Lu Yana. Yi Chen, however, glanced at the two of them, but did not pay any attention to them. When the general manager saw the people coming, he immediately became alert, and the security guards around him quickly went on guard. Lu Yana, however, spoke up in advance and said, "Huh? Guoming, why are you here?" Yi Chen was instantly energized when he heard that Lu Yana actually recognized Li Yi's boyfriend. Lu Yana whispered in Yi Chen's ear and explained, "Guoming is the guy who has been chasing me for 3 years. He just stopped messaging me these past 2 months, so I guess he's with Li Yi now." Yi Chen nodded. Yes, Li Yi had already dumped her previous boyfriend, and this time it was Guoming. However, seeing the two of them so close together, it was likely that they were still in the honeymoon phase. When Yi Chen was with Li Yi was not so sharp either. After all, when they were freshmen, they were truly in love, but as they grew up, they naturally learned about the bad things in society. Later, Li Mei often asked Yi Chen to buy her designer handbags and jewelry, and Yi Chen thought it was quite normal. After all, his family was indeed able to afford it at the time, and the monthly allowance of over 100,000 yuan was basically spent on Li Mei. Even the bag worth tens of thousands of yuan that Li Mei is carrying now was given to her by Yi Chen. Unfortunately, Li Yi chose to break up with Yi Chen when the Yi family was in financial crisis. Because Yi Chen's family did not transfer any money to him at that time, his source of income was cut off. At that time, she also heard from others that the news of Yi Chen's family going bankrupt reached Li Yi's ears, so Li Yi resolutely wanted to break up with Yi Chen, and even in front of Yi Chen's face, she got into the car of another man. Li Wei and Guoming ignored the stares of the other people and walked directly into the lounge area. "I really didn't expect it. Yi Chen, you actually dared to come here to spend? Your family can't even support itself anymore, and you still dare to come here to spend?" Li Wei's contemptuous expression spoke for itself. Chapter 89, Let them see for themselves. The general manager and store manager knew Yi Chen, so naturally they didn't want to stop them from communicating. They silently closed the exquisite safe. This was jewelry worth 1 billion, so it naturally had to be kept in a safe. The general manager thought to himself, these two really showed up at the wrong time. Watching them mock the buyers like that, these two are no good. The general manager was a veteran, and he was really good at judging people. Guoming smiled when he saw his goddess asking about him. "Yes, my girlfriend came to buy something." Li Wei saw that Yi Chen ignored her, so she started talking to herself. "Yes. Guo Xiao is the one who brought me here to buy a big diamond ring, unlike someone else, who has been in a relationship for more than 2 years and hasn't even given me a ring." Yi Chen just said softly, "Yes, I haven't given you a big diamond ring, but the bag you're carrying now, that I gave you, it cost more than 100,000 yuan. Li Wei was so angry that she couldn't say a word in response. "What are you talking about? I bought this bag myself." "Humph," Yi Chen snorted, and didn't say anything else. Li Wei's parents only sold fruit, and they couldn't possibly afford such an expensive bag. However, Yi Chen did not want to argue with her anymore. A good man does not fight with a woman. However, Li Mei did not intend to let Yi Chen off the hook. "I'm not like some people, who know their family is bankrupt and broke, but still drag others out to pretend to be rich. You want to buy a big diamond ring for the school flower? Can you afford it?" Li Mei finished, and also snorted. Lu Yana, however, could not hold back anymore. She could no longer tolerate Li Mei, this hypocritical woman. "Miss Li, our marital affairs are none of your business. If you want to buy your big diamond ring, please go ahead and don't get in our way." "Get in your way?" Li Wei was even more pleased, not knowing what big deal you were going to do. Guoming was silent on the side, and he wanted to see what kind of trick Yi Chen and Lu Yana were trying to pull. In fact, the main reason Li Mei couldn't stand it was that Lu Yana, who was prettier than she was, had chosen what she didn't want. That was why she was angry. At this point, the general manager finally heard something. It turned out to be his ex-girlfriend stirring up trouble. So the general manager immediately said to Li Mei, "Miss, if you really don't plan to spend in our store, then please leave our store and don't interfere with our big customers here." Li Mei looked at the general manager and said coldly, "Who are you to dare to chase away customers?" "I'm sorry, I was sent by the headquarters of Diamond Family and am also the general manager of the headquarters. I came this time to deliver the goods to Mr. Yi." The general manager stood up and said, "Oh? Li Aiwei's tone also showed a slight surprise, and at the same time, she began to size up the general manager and the others, as well as the safe on the counter. "Miss, may I ask if you plan to make a purchase, or?" As the general manager said this, he gave the security guards on both sides a wink. Yichen spoke up at this time. "We're all friends here, and since they want to stay, let's show them a good time." The general manager nodded repeatedly. "Nonsense, when the boss speaks, what can you say?" Naturally, he listened obediently. All of a sudden, the security guards who had just gathered around also took a few steps back. Li Aiwei also sneered, "I'd also like to know what you bought that would make a general manager deliver it to you." Anyway, Li Aiwei would never believe that Yichen would have the money to buy jewelry. After all, Yichen's family's situation had long been spread all over the school, because the parents of the other students at school were all dealing with Yichen's family, so this matter was absolutely true. Yichen, however, no longer paid any attention to the two people, and signaled the general manager, "Hurry up and open it, I'm in a hurry to go home to see my children." At this, everyone's attention was focused on the safe. Yichen was also looking forward to it, as he had never seen diamond jewelry worth 1 billion yuan before. The general manager slowly put on his gloves, carefully opened the safe, and took out a very high-end box with a square, deep red, and silky surface from inside. He pushed it in front of Yichen and helped Yichen take off the lid on top. What was revealed was a dazzling necklace covered in diamonds. At this time, the general manager was narrating in the background. This entire set of diamonds was designed by the world's top jewelry designer, Mr. N. Manson. The components of this necklace are very high-end. The chain is made up of many diamonds connected together. The diamonds are round in appearance and roughly the same size, and they are all connected together to make the necklace look very stylish. This structure gives the necklace a certain width, and it also has a strong presence when worn around the neck. There is also a heart-shaped purple diamond in the center of the necklace, which is a very rare purple diamond and looks very eye-catching. The total value of this necklace is 360 million yuan, and it is by far the most expensive necklace ever made. Before the manager finished speaking, Li Ai and the others, including Lu Yaina, were also stunned. "My goodness! Just this necklace costs 360 million yuan. This is more expensive than all the jewelry here." Before everyone could come back to their senses, the general manager took out another box from the safe. He opened it and pushed it in front of Yichen and Lu Yaina. This is the same ring, and the main diamond is also a purple-pink diamond. It is a 16.3-gram diamond weighing 240 million yuan, and it is unique in the world today. After saying that, the general manager quickly took out the matching diamond earrings and bracelet from the safe. The general manager opened each one for Yichen and introduced the purity of the diamonds to Yichen. Finally, he said, "The total value of this entire set of diamond jewelry is 990 million yuan. Mr. Yi, please check." So, the general manager held up the necklace and handed it to Yichen. Li Aiwei looked at the scene in front of her. She had thought to herself that Yichen had colluded with the manager to put on a show for her, but then she thought, the manager didn't have the time to cooperate with you in a show. It's just that she couldn't find a better reason in her heart to convince herself that Yichen could come up with 10 billion. Chapter 90, A Bankruptcy Can Come Up with a Billion. After the general manager finished speaking, he also gave a sideways glance at Li Ai and Guoming. How could they say that the super members with gold cards in their hands had gone bankrupt? May I ask, which bankrupt could come up with 1 billion yuan to buy jewelry? And it's the only purple-pink diamond in the world? This entire set of you are my only one diamond jewelry is not something that everyone can buy. Without a net worth of tens or hundreds of billions, how could you buy it? Therefore, General Manager Yan also looked at Li Ai and Yi Ning with some disdain in his eyes. Although the two in front of him were customers of the store, compared to such a distinguished customer as Yichen, what were they? Even if they bought 10 big diamond rings here, they would not be comparable to any of the diamonds in here. You have to know that all the diamonds in this set are made of the purest quality, with almost no impurities. Li Ai and Guoming both frowned when they saw this, their eyes full of disbelief. They absolutely could not believe that Yichen could afford $1 billion worth of jewelry. They saw Yichen pick up the pigeon's egg and gently put it on Lu Yaina's finger. It was just the right size. Lu Yaina stared, unable to react at first, as Yichen put on a multi-hundred-million-dollar diamond ring for her. She quickly tried to take it off. This is too precious. How can this be okay? However, Yichen held her back. My dear, it's rare for your husband to buy you jewelry, how can you say no? Just wear it for me. Lu Yaina was also anxious. You've already given me a villa before, and just now you gave me clothes worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Every gift you've given me is too valuable. Lu Yana was also a little overwhelmed. She had just said all this, and without realizing it, Yi Chen had already given her more than 1 billion yuan. The speaker meant no harm, but the listener took it as such. Li Wei listened to Lu Yina's words, and heard about the villa Yi Chen had given her, the pile of shopping bags on the ground, and the big diamond ring. If she hadn't broken up with Yi Chen, she would have married him, and everything he gave away would have been hers. And this boyfriend in front of her would at most promise to give her a diamond ring worth tens of thousands of yuan, just like today. Thinking about all the good and accommodation Yi Chen had shown her in the past, Li Wei already regretted it at this point. However, she couldn't show it, because she had already lost Yi Chen, and she couldn't afford to lose Guoming, the big fish. Seeing this, Li Wei had to bow her head despite her remorse. Guoming was also furious at Yi Chen. We'll see about this. He took Li Wei and left. Li Wei felt really unlucky today. Not only had she run into her ex-boyfriend Yi Chen, but she had also been embarrassed in public. Most importantly, she could have gotten a big diamond ring today, but in the end she got nothing. When General Manager Yan saw the two of them walk away dejectedly, he let out a soft snort. Lu Yana looked at the pink-purple diamond on her hand and liked it more and more. Well, thank you, honey. Yi Chen ignored Li Yi and Lu Yana, and said with a smile, well, that's the way to do it. Lu Yana looked up at the door of the shop at this time and whispered to Yi Chen, honey, they've gone, right? Yi Chen stroked Lu Yana's head and said, well, they've already left. What's wrong? Lu Yana smiled and said, actually, don't you feel embarrassed? Yi Chen just smiled and confessed, to be honest, at first I was also sad and upset about the breakup, but now that I have you and the children, these things can no longer touch me. Besides, I can now see clearly what kind of person Li Yi is. I believe that you have also seen it, so I won't say anything else. Anyway, you just need to know that you are in my heart. Lu Yana smiled and threw herself into Yi Chen's arms. To be honest, she was really quite worried at first. After all, she had only had sex with Yi Chen on the day he broke up with Li Yi. She was also afraid that Yi Chen still had feelings for Li Yi. Now, seeing that Yi Chen could face Li Yi so openly, it proved that he had completely let go. This was the best ending for Lu Yana. However, in Li Wei's opinion, Yi Chen had simply quickly found a replacement for her. In particular, seeing that Yi Chen was so wealthy today, with a villa, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of clothes, and jewelry worth 1 billion yuan. How could she not be jealous and hateful? This originally belonged to her. Yi Chen and Lu Yana quickly packed the diamond jewelry. General Manager Yan wanted to give Yi Chen the safe as well, so that Yi Chen could take it home. However, Yi Chen didn't want to take the safe because he thought it was too heavy. He simply put the entire set of jewelry back in the box, wrapped it in a gift bag from the store, and carried it with him as he left. General Manager Yan, the manager, and a group of store employees and security guards all stood at the door to see Yi Chen and Lu Yana off. Yi Chen carried more than 10 shopping bags, hiding the bag from the Diamond family under his clothes. After all, wealth should not be displayed, and this was a bit safer. Then, Lu Yana walked holding Yi Chen's arm and suddenly asked Yi Chen, next, should we go home? It's almost 9 o'clock now, and I miss my baby at home too. Yi Chen had not yet had a chance to learn more about the charity gala invitation he had just received. However, he knew that if he were to go to any charity gala, he would definitely need a tuxedo. For himself, it would be simple, just a suit would do, but if he were to take Lu Yana out, he would definitely need to look nice in a formal dress. Yi Chen didn't want to go at first because he had never attended one before and didn't know if there were any rules or things to watch out for. But then he thought, most of the people who go to charity galas are important people in Fragrance City, and if he wants to develop in the city in the future, it would definitely be better to know more people. After thinking about it, Yi Chen decided right then and there that he wanted to go. So, he said to Lu Yana, there's a charity gala in a few days, and I've been invited. I want to take you with me. Do you want to go? Lu Yana pursed her lips and thought for a moment. If you want to go, then I'll go with you. After all, she has also seen Yi Chen's achievements, and being able to give her a gift worth over 1 billion yuan also shows that Yi Chen will accept more invitations like this in the future, and in the future, she will also have to attend as Yi Chen's wife. Chapter 91, Deciding to attend the charity gala. After deciding to attend the charity gala, Yi Chen took Lu Yana and followed the directions in the mall to find the only place that sold dresses here. As soon as they entered the store, they discovered that Li Yi and Guoming were also there. What a narrow escape. Of course, Li Yi was thinking the same thing. Just now, Li Mei had coaxed Guoming into agreeing to buy the dress first and then the diamond ring, but now she had run into Yi Chen and the others. Her face immediately fell. The four people's gazes met again, but Yi Chen did not look at them directly, and was only led by the salesperson to the side to pick out a dress for Lu Yana. Li Yi and Guoming were naturally a little angry, so Li Yi said to Guoming, "Let's go pick out the diamond ring first. I hope that someone will stop following us." Even though Yi Chen and Lu Yana had heard them, they still didn't look at them. However, the saleswoman who had served Li Yi and Guoming turned a dark shade of red. After all, Li Yi and Guoming were the ones who had placed the order. Now, it was all ruined. I don't know if they will come back or not. After Li Mei and her friend left, Yi Chen and Lu Yana were guided by the salesperson to look at the dresses. However, Yi Chen and Lu Yana were running out of time, as they had to go home to their babies before 10 o'clock. So, they told the salesperson, "Bring out the most expensive dresses you have, both for men and women. I don't want to see anything else." After all, Yi Chen thought, there is a reason for something to be expensive, and if it is more expensive, it is naturally the best in terms of materials and design, so Yi Chen just looked at the most expensive ones. Yi Chen said to the saleswoman, "We are going to a charity ball, so please take a look at the dresses that are suitable for such an occasion." The clothes the saleswoman was wearing were different from the work clothes she had worn when she had just greeted Li Yi. It was obvious that the saleswoman was the manager of the store or some other position, and Yi Chen could also tell from her appearance that she held a high position in the store. Yi Chen was right, the saleswoman was the manager of this L.V. courtesy store. The manager smiled and instructed the other salespeople, one by one, to bring out the most expensive dresses in the store, and there were also a few suits for men, which the manager introduced enthusiastically. "What is your last name, sir and madam?" The shop manager asked Yi Chen and his wife with a smile. "Yi Chen, my surname is Yi, and this is my wife." "Hello Mr. and Mrs. Yi, I am very happy to serve you," the shop manager said with a smile. He gestured for the two to look at the dresses, starting with the first one, a white dress with a train, the second one was red, the third one was pink, and the fourth one was a short white skirt. The shop manager told the two people about which designer had created each dress and what brand it was from, starting with the first one. However, Yi Chen immediately fell in love with the last one, the short white skirt. The dress was white in design, with peacock-shaped lace trim around the hem, which was both elegant and made the wearer look pure. Yi Chen pointed directly at the last one, "Let's get this one. It's simple but not lacking in luxury. What do you think, wife?" Lu Yana also liked that one at first glance. She was very happy to see that her husband agreed with her, so she said, "Yes, I also like that one at first glance. I really like the design." The store manager smiled and said to the two of them, "You really have good taste. This dress was designed by the senior Chinese designer Li Jinan. It is the work that won first place in an international competition. And there are only 10 of these dresses in the world, because they are all handmade, and the process is very tedious, so the output is not high." Yi Chen and Lu Yana smiled at each other. They actually didn't care about all this, but after all, the people going to the banquet were either rich or noble, so naturally they had to buy a dress that they could show off. "Then, it's it," Yi Chen said with a generous air. The store manager was also a little surprised, thinking to himself that this customer actually bought it directly without even asking the price. In fact, Yi Chen just felt that coming to such a high-end place, he couldn't afford to bargain or do anything that would lower his status, right? At this time, Yi Chen also picked out a suit for himself and Armani. Lu Yana also picked out a tie for Yi Chen and a pair of high-heeled shoes for herself. It has to be said that everything is available here, even the most intimate breast pads. Afterwards, Lu Yana also came out after trying on the dress. Lu Yana looked very good in this short, slim-fitting little dress, even with her bare face. After all, she was the school beauty queen, so she could still hold her own in this regard. At the same time, because she had just given birth and was still breastfeeding, her breasts were very magnificent. Her face was full of collagen, and the white peacock lace design of the dress made her look very elegant. At the same time, her waist was also tightly cinched, revealing 2/3 of her 110 centimeters long legs, which made people look at her and feel both pure and lustful. Even Yi Chen looked at her, and his eyes could not tear away from her. All the store employees and the store manager were also transfixed. They had rarely encountered customers who could look so stunning with no makeup, and even celebrities would only dare to appear in public with makeup. Lu Yana, however, walked over to Yi Chen's side and asked, "Honey, do you think I look good?" Yi Chen looked at her and said, "You look really good, honey." Lu Yana was really happy when Yi Chen praised her like that. Yi Chen, however, said to Lu Yana, luckily, it doesn't show too much, it's covered here, otherwise, I don't want you to wear it for so many people to see. Lu Yana pounded Yi Chen's chest, nuisance. At this time, the store manager said, Mrs. Yi, do you need our makeup artist to help you try on makeup? Then when you go to the party, you can save time. Lu Yana refused, sorry, we're in a hurry to go home, so we won't try on any makeup. Yi Chen also said, yes, my dear, I'll do as you say. Lu Yana also smiled, walked into the fitting room, and prepared to change into her own clothes. She never imagined that the dress would fit so well. Not only her, but even the store manager was very surprised. After all, many times, if it were any other customer, the chest area would probably have to be resized 2 sizes smaller, but Lu Yana was so magnificent. She had originally wanted to let Mrs. Yi try on some makeup and take a photo for publicity purposes, but now that the couple was in a hurry, she had to give up. After all, this was the first time she had encountered such a good-looking couple since she started working in the industry, especially Mrs. Yi. After all, in their line of work, many rich men are average-looking, but the women by their sides are very beautiful, but usually these are not the original wives. They are used to seeing these kinds of things. Chapter 92, There's so much money that you can't spend it all. When it came time to pay the bill, Yi Chen realized that the price of the dress was a staggering 480,000 yuan, and the men's suits were 130,000 yuan. Plus the shoes and bags, the total was 800,000 yuan. There was no room for negotiation here either. Because the store had a membership system, the price was set in stone. Before leaving, the female manager took out a card and said to Yi Chen and his companion, hello, you two. You are already considered members of our LV store, so you can enjoy our membership services. If anything happens to you on the way to the banquet, or if there is a sudden banquet, you can call us and we will send a chauffeur-driven car with a carefully prepared dress and makeup artist for you. If you get your dress dirty during the banquet, we will also send a car there. You don't have to worry, our makeup artists and services are first class. Yi Chen approached the shop manager's name tag and nodded to her, saying, okay, thanks. Can I leave this dress with you first? Don't let anyone else touch this dress, and have this dress cleaned properly. When I attend the charity gala, I will call you to send it over. Is that okay? Sir, no problem. Just call me and make an appointment in advance. Yi Chen said, I'll make an appointment now, on the 28th of this month. I want to book a full set of services. I want your best makeup artist, no matter how much it costs. Okay, Mr. Yi, we'll book the highest level service team for you. The one-time fee is 200,000 yuan. Is that okay with you, Mr. Yi? Yi Chen, no problem. Do I have to pay the full amount now? No need, sir. Just pay half as a deposit to set the date, and the other half will be paid after the service is completed. The store manager hurriedly waved his hand. Yi Chen immediately took out his bank card again and swiped another 100,000 yuan. Lu Yana readily accepted all of this. After all, she had already accepted the billion in jewelry, so why would she care about the cost of a few 100,000? Moreover, she now had to learn to get used to this as a habit, because she still had 10 million yuan transferred from Yi Chen on her card. This was 10 million yuan, not 1,000 yuan. If she kept spending at this level, she didn't know when she would be able to spend all this money. With her spending habits, the 10 million yuan will probably still be there when she is 70 or 80 years old. She has now figured it out. Yi Chen naturally spends on the most expensive and best things nowadays, and he still needs things to impress people. However, in some places, it is better to save money if there is no need. After Yi Chen made the last payment, the system rang. Congratulations, host, you have completed a special order. You are rewarded with the skill discerning people. This skill can only be activated when used, and is otherwise disabled. Yi Chen was a little confused at this point. Usually, rewards are in the form of money, but now he was rewarded with a skill? Is there some kind of conspiracy here? Plus, at the beginning, I was rewarded with an invitation to a charity ball. This is worth thinking about. Although Yi Chen thought this, there was no concrete evidence, so he just let it go. Lu Yana, however, said to Yi Chen, honey, let's go home first, we have the dress and jewelry. Then Lu Yana leaned over to Yi Chen and whispered, I've been out for more than 3 hours, it's almost 9 o'clock, After that, her face flushed. Looking at his bashful wife, he had no choice but to go along with her. Okay, let's go home now. Meanwhile, on the first floor, Liai and Guomeng, who were selecting diamond rings, had already bought a 1-carat diamond ring, which had probably cost more than 100,000 yuan. Li Yi couldn't help but mutter, Yi Chen and the others should have left by now. Today is really unlucky, I keep running into them everywhere. Guoming, who knows? Let's go up and have a look. It's been more than half an hour. I guess they're just window shopping. Who goes there to pick out a dress? Li Wei also chuckled, that's right, not everyone gets an invitation to the Visha charity ball. The two of them carried the gift bag from the Diamond House and went to L.V. courtesy together. As soon as they walked in the door, they heard the staff discussing, that couple was really a perfect match. Yes. Mr. Yi is really the real-life version of a domineering CEO. He spoils Mrs. Yi so much. That person took out his bank card and told us that the way he swiped it was really cool. As long as other people spend money here, they all think other people are cool. Aren't you? Just now, Mr. Yi only bought himself a 130,000 suit, but for Mrs. Yi, he bought nearly $1 million to go to the party. That dress alone is almost 500,000. Oh my god. Do you think they are also going to that charity ball? Recently, a lot of people have come to buy dresses, and they are all talking about attending the ball. It's best to stay out of social affairs. You don't have a chance to go anyway. You'd better take care of it, because if you damage someone's dress, you can't afford to pay for a 500,000 dress. The staff quickly hung back up the dress that Lu Yana had tried on and tidied it up. It will be cleaned later, and then it will be ready for Lu Yana to wear to the party. And of course, Li Yi knew who Mr. and Mrs. Yi were that they were discussing, and she saw them pushing the dress that Lu Yana liked into a room. Her jealous eyes could no longer hold back the anger that was about to erupt. It would be a lie to say she didn't regret it, and she didn't know which bastard spread the rumor that Yi Chen's family had gone bankrupt. She lost such a high-quality, rich man as Yi Chen. Li Wei glanced at the man next to her. Although he had similar assets to Yi Chen's family in the past, he had an older brother. Moreover, his older brother had already taken up the position of general manager at the family company, while Guoming, on the other hand, was like a playboy who only knew how to spend money. Li Yi has been with Yi Chen for more than 2 years, almost 3 years, but she also knows that Yi Chen is an only son, and Yi Chen is a capable person who is not like other playboys in terms of relationships. In this comparison, Li Yi only feels that she regrets it, why she couldn't just hang in there a little longer. However, there is no regret pill in the world. One has to pay the price for one's own choices. Chapter 93. A plan comes to mind. But just now I heard the shop assistants say that Yi Chen and Lu Yana are also going to the party? For that charity party, how could they possibly be invited without billions of dollars? Could it be that Yi Chen's family has billions of dollars? But I heard before that Yi Chen's family at most only has a few billion. What's going on with Yi Chen's family? Could it be that the information I received was false? But that's impossible, even Guoming's family has received the news, Yi Chen's family is really in trouble now. What went wrong? But not just anyone can receive an invitation to the charity gala. Just now, IVE also saw that Yi Chen had bought $1 billion worth of jewelry for Lu Yana. And that $1 billion worth of diamond jewelry, Yi Chen bought it with real gold and silver. Although she admitted that Lu Yana is prettier than herself, she was Yi Chen's girlfriend before. That means Yi Chen has feelings for her, and just now he didn't scold her, which shows that he still has feelings for her. No way. No matter what, I must get Yi Chen back. Yi Chen is mine, Li Yi's. After thinking about it, Li Yi glanced at Guoming and couldn't help but come up with a plan. She knew that Guoming had been chasing after Lu Yana for a long time, but had never succeeded. So if she helped him out at the time, he. However, Guoming didn't think the same way. For this party, his family had only given 1 million yuan in expenses. For him alone, 1 million yuan was enough to buy a new set of clothes. But now there is also a Li Yi, and not only does he have to buy a diamond ring worth over 100,000 yuan, but also a dress, shoes, and bags worth over 100,000 yuan. Just these few items will use up the entire 1 million yuan. Although Guoming is a little reluctant, Li Yi is still a flower girl, and naturally there are things that make him willing to spend money. Although Li Yi is not as pretty as Lu Yana, she is enchanting, while Lu Yana is pure, so the taste is different. Obviously, Li Yi is not as unyielding as Lu Yana. As long as you are worth spending money on, she will definitely give you a second look. Now, with Li Yi and today's spending, he has probably spent more than 1 million yuan. Under his aggressive attack, Li Yi was directly taken by him. Guoming naturally knew that Yi Chen and Lu Yana were also going to attend the party. Although he was puzzled by the fact that Yi Chen had been invited, he didn't think much about it. After all, some families might have some hidden assets. Take his family, the Gua family, for example, they definitely had some. At this time, the two had their own concerns and were selecting their dresses. Lu Yina and Yi Chen had also returned home. The several babies in the family were all making noise, and the sound of the eldest baby's crying resounded throughout the villa. As soon as Lu Yina got out of the car, she ran upstairs to hug the baby. After all, her swollen breasts were really painful. Yi Chen, however, looked at the back of his beloved wife running and smiled adoringly. Yi Chen moved everything back to the cloakroom on the second floor. Although he saw Lu Yina breastfeeding, the two were already used to each other's presence and did not feel embarrassed. Yi Chen looked at Lu Yina as she nursed her baby with her back turned, and said, "Honey, I was planning to go to the beauty salon with you today to see what they have for postpartum recovery, but I got held up by so many things today." Lu Yina said slowly, "That's okay, let's go next time. I'd like to find out about it too. I really had a hard time trying on dresses. The fat on my stomach is really hard to look at." Lu Yina also complained about her figure. There was no way around it, she had really gained a lot of weight, and now that she had given birth, she found it very uncomfortable. After all, when she was pregnant before, she could accept having a baby in her belly, but now that she had given birth, looking at the fat in her belly, she couldn't stand the sight of it anywhere. She had always been very strict with her figure, so this fat, she would not allow it to exist. It must be lost. She must immediately reduce the flesh in her belly, otherwise she will have a hard time attending the party. The party is on the night of the 28th, which is 9 days away. If she goes to the hospital tomorrow, she can have the repair done that day, and in a week's time, she should be able to reduce the flesh a little, and it won't be so hard by then. This is what Lu Yina was thinking. Yi Chen, on the other hand, thought that Lu Yina's figure was just right now, neither fat nor thin, and it felt good to hold. Yi Chen also comforted Lu Yina, "It's okay, as long as my husband likes it." Lu Yina smiled, "It would be better if you were the only one who could see it, but it's a charity gala, and there will definitely be a lot of people there. If people find out that you, Yi Chen, have a huge fat wife, then you will lose face too." Yi Chen didn't care, "Who cares what they say, it's me living with you, not them. If my husband thinks you're okay, then you're okay." Lu Yina, "No, I'm going tomorrow. While shopping earlier, I saw a beauty salon on the first floor of that mall. Ying told me that the service there is very good and the skincare results are good, so I'll go there and try it. I think it's also possible for postpartum repair." Yi Chen, "Then it's up to you. I'll drive with you tomorrow." Lu Yina picked up her son and changed the other side to feed him. Good. Yi Chen then took the pajamas and walked into the bathroom. It was past 11 o'clock, and both of them had finished bathing and were resting in bed. Yi Chen asked Lu Yina, "Nana, should we hire another nanny for Auntie Zhang? Or maybe two? You see, in case neither my mother nor your mother is available, I don't want you to work hard. By then, Auntie Zhang will be alone and I'm afraid she won't be able to handle the 3 little ones." Lu Yina also said, "Let's hire 2 more. Or ask the 2 maids from the previous 2 months. I think the babies like them, but I don't know if they'll want to come back." Yi Chen, "I'll call them tomorrow and ask them. The monthly salary of a postpartum maid is similar to Auntie Zhang's, so I guess they will consider this as well. Auntie Zhang is the senior member of our family, so naturally the salary for the 2 of them will have to be higher." Lu Yina also said, That's true. Yi Chen, "Then let's do it this way. After we finish eating at home tomorrow noon, I'll drive you to the mall, and you can sleep in the morning." Lu Yina, Yi Chen fell asleep directly with Lu Yina in his arms. Chapter 94, Fixing Up for His Wife. Early the next morning, Yi Chen slept until 10 o'clock. During this time, Lu Yina woke up quietly to go find the baby. He didn't even know, he was really tired, so he slept exceptionally soundly. These past few days have been quite tiring, but fortunately, things are almost done now. Now, all that's left is to fix Lu Yina's prosthetic leg. Fortunately, the day before the charity gala, Lu Yina will go to the hospital for a 42-day postpartum checkup. After the checkup, she can go to the charity gala. Everything has developed very smoothly, and Yi Chen likes this simple, happy, and ordinary life. Seeing that Lu Yina is still asleep, Yi Chen does not wake her up, quietly washes up and goes downstairs to grab a bite. Learning that Lu Yina has not had breakfast and seeing that it is almost 11 o'clock, he thinks that it is about time to prepare lunch, so he prepares a nice lunch for Lu Yina. Now that the 2 nannies have been gone for more than a week, only my mother and Auntie Zhang are left to take care of the children, day and night. It must be very tiring, so I decided to give the nannies a call and ask if they would be interested in returning to continue babysitting. Yi Chen also offered them the nanny salary, 20,000 yuan a month, so they agreed to come back, but only after a week of rest at home. The terms were all negotiated, and the nanny's salary was for babysitting, but mostly taking care of the 3 babies. Yi Chen simply hired them both. 3 nannies to take care of 3 babies, even if the family is busy, it is enough. At the same time, it saves Lu Yana and her mother from being so tired and unable to rest day or night. After making the call, Yi Chen prepared lunch for Lu Yana and the rest of the family. As soon as it was ready, he was about to take it upstairs when Lu Yana came downstairs. I guess she was hungry too. She had some midnight snacks when she got up last night before going back to sleep. The babies were pretty well behaved throughout the night. They only woke up once or twice at most, which was pretty good. Lu Yana smiled and said to Yi Chen, "Good morning, honey." Yi Chen said with a smile, "Good morning, honey. Has Mom gotten up yet?" Auntie Jean was already preparing the meal, so she said, "I'll go tell Sister May to eat." She didn't sleep well last night either. She just fed the baby a little while ago and went back to sleep, so I didn't have time to get up and cook either. Yi Chen felt that he had made the right decision to hire the 2 aunts again. So, while everyone was gathered for dinner, he also told his mother and Auntie Zhang about hiring the 2 aunts as babysitters. With 2 more people, they could take turns looking after the baby, so that the adults could also get some rest. They could divide up the work, with one person doing the night shift and the other doing the shopping, cooking, and cleaning during the day. Ye's mother and Auntie Zhang both raised their hands in approval of Yi Chen's decision. They were really tired, and they had no privacy at all. All they did every day was look after the baby, and even their rest time was spent sleeping. If they were hired back, then they could go back to the way things were before, and at least they wouldn't be so tired. After eating lunch, Lu Yana still fed the baby once, and then let Yi Chen drive her to the Damingfa shopping mall she went to yesterday. After arriving at the mall, the first thing she did was drag Yi Chen to the beauty salon called Amei. This beauty salon was also recommended to her by her good friend Gu Yingying, so she was very at ease about it, and naturally trusted recommendations from her best friend. As soon as she walked in, the young receptionist immediately came up to her with a smile. "Hello, sir. What can I do for you, beautiful lady?" Lu Yana got straight to the point, although her voice was a little shy. "I want to have postpartum recovery treatment." Although she was already a married mother, she had not yet fully adapted to her new identity, especially not to being called a mother in front of others. The saleswoman looked at Lu Yana and Yi Chen and couldn't help smiling. "Madam, don't worry, we have a very complete postpartum recovery plan here. Why don't you have a seat and have a cup of tea while I prepare some information for you?" Lu Yana nodded, "Okay." Yi Chen didn't say a word the whole time, just sitting quietly on the side. After all, this was a woman's matter, and it was not good for a man to get involved. He only needs to be responsible for paying. After Lu Yana had drunk a cup of tea, the saleswoman sat down across from them with a leaflet. "This is your husband, right?" the saleswoman asked politely. Lu Yana, "Yes, this is my husband, surnamed Yi." Her face flushed as she said this, because this was the first time she had admitted in front of others that Yi Chen was her husband. "Oh, hello Mr. Yi." The saleswoman also greeted Yi Zhen politely. "Mrs. Yi, you are really lucky. It is rare for your husband to bring you here for postpartum care. You are really very happy." Yi Zhen also smiled, determined to make Lu Yana the happiest person in the world. Lu Yana's face turned even redder. She smiled, beaming with happiness. "Thank you, my husband is really a good husband." The saleswoman also smiled. "Mrs. Yi, how long have you been postpartum?" "Lu Yana, I'll be going back to the hospital in about a week for the 42-day checkup." "Oh? Then it's about time you came here for your repair. Are you clean?" the saleswoman asked. "Well, I've been clean for a long time." Lu Yana glanced at Yi Chen before replying. "Then you can take a look at our promotional leaflet now. This is for professional postpartum restoration. Although it is also available at the hospital, you have to wait in line for a long time, but it's different here. As long as you call us half an hour in advance, we will immediately arrange for someone to serve you." The saleswoman continued, "Don't look at the fact that we are not a hospital, but we have a cooperative relationship with the hospital. All of our staff have passed relevant professional examinations, and all of our equipment is synchronized with the hospital's, and is even more advanced. The results are also very significant. So you don't need to worry about qualifications. We will give you a more comprehensive and comfortable service. You can take a look and get to know more about it. Lu Yana and Yi Chen looked at the promotional leaflet together. When they saw certain words, Lu Yina's face flushed. Some words were really too straightforward. Chapter 95, Things Women Fix. After all, these are all about intimate things about women, as well as explanations of private parts, and so on. And the female clerk also didn't know the real situation of Yi Chen and Lu Yana, so naturally she treated them like an ordinary couple. How much does the baby you're carrying weigh? The female clerk asked. Lu Yana was a little confused. What does that have to do with anything? Of course it matters. If the baby is too big, it will damage the abdominal muscles, the saleswoman explained. Lu Yana then understood and replied, I'm pregnant with triplets, and all 3 babies are over 4 pounds. Upon hearing this, the saleswoman looked at Lu Yana in shock. My goodness, you're pregnant with triplets? And each fetus is this big. Your stomach must be so big. You really suffered when you were pregnant. The female clerk couldn't imagine how big the stomach of a triplet would be. Lu Yana also nodded, it was quite hard when I was pregnant, and even after giving birth, my stomach never recovered. Apart from the extra fat, it feels like the skin above is just too loose. I didn't really want to talk about it, but Yi Chen had already seen it when he was treating her wound, so there was nothing to be embarrassed about. The female shop assistant also said seriously, that's natural. If the fetus is too big, the stretched belly will not return to its original shape at once. But I think the most important thing for you to do now is to repair the rectus abdominis. Not all of what you said is fat, it's likely to be the internal organs and intestines. Because the rectus abdominis muscle protects our stomach, and now that you are pregnant with triplets, it must have been stretched to its limit, so the damage to the rectus abdominis muscle is really too great. The female clerk carefully explained to Lu Yana and Yi Chen nodded in agreement. Yi Chen already knew about all of this, which was why he was so eager to bring Lu Yana here for postpartum rehabilitation. After all, Lu Yana cared so much about her figure, and he definitely valued it as well. The female clerk said, the most urgent task is to repair the rectus abdominis, and then the lower part should also be tightened, otherwise there will be some problems in that area of life. But this has to be done together with the pelvis. You had a C-section for triplets, so don't think that it won't affect your sex life. When a woman is pregnant, everything about her body changes. Apart from the abdominal muscles, the pelvis and the rest of the body will also change. Of course, if you don't experience the pain of the birth, it will be a little better and tighter than if you had a natural birth. The saleswoman really didn't treat Yi Chen as an outsider, and she even said those things in front of Yi Chen as if they were a matter of course. Luckily, the saleswoman didn't know about Yi Chen and Lu Yana's situation, otherwise it would have been really embarrassing. Especially regarding that aspect, and the words about tightening things up a bit down there, which really made Lu Yana blush until her ears. Yi Chen, on the other hand, looked very calm and said immediately, do you have an appointment today? I'll place an order right now. The saleswoman laughed and said, yes. We can do it right now, but it will take about half an hour. Is that okay? Yi Chen said, that's fine. Do you have any other skin care products? I want to get a card for my wife. The saleswoman's face lit up. Yes. Look. So, she picked up another promotional leaflet on the side and said to Yi Chen and Lu Yana, this is our company's latest skincare product. You can have a look. Okay. Yi Chen took the leaflet and looked at it with Lu Yana. Lu Yana whispered, honey, you're so nice. Yi Chen just stroked her head and smiled, you are my wife, if I don't treat you well, who else will I treat well? Lu Yana also smiled. The saleswoman on the side also saw it in her eyes, and she was already jealous in her heart. The salespeople around them also looked at Yi Chen and Lu Yana like they were watching dinosaurs. Why are other people's husbands so nice? Yi Chen pointed to the highest set meal here and said, let's have this one. After thinking for a moment, he said, do you have home service here? The female clerk immediately replied, yes, but only super members can get this treatment. How can I become a super member? Just recharge 200,000 yuan in our store and you can immediately become a super member. No matter what package you buy and what service you get, after I sign it, the cost will be directly deducted from the balance of your card. Our beauticians only do skin care on assignments. If you want to get a repair, they can't take any orders because they need equipment. Yi Chen said, well, I'll charge 500,000 then. I'll open 2 postpartum repair packages to see how the recovery goes, and then have all the better skin care treatments done. The saleswoman was so happy that she almost jumped up and down. My goodness! This is the first time I've encountered such a generous and happy client. In the past, the most I've seen was a charge of 200,000 at once, but even that was rare. And it was the husband who helped his wife charge it, so that was really rare. I admit, I really felt sour. Although I was able to make money, for some reason, I felt sour. Lu Yina was also moved by Yi Chen's generosity. After all, some men in society nowadays don't think that those things repaired by women are inconsequential. I really didn't expect Yi Chen to value himself so much. It almost made Lu Yina cry on the spot. Yi Chen also noticed Lu Yina's emotional fluctuation and immediately gave her a hug to comfort her. If it weren't for the fact that they were in a public place, he would have hugged her in his arms right then and there. So, very quickly, the female clerk created a file for them, entered Lu Yina's information into the computer, and issued a super VIP card on the spot. The female clerk asked, "Hello, sir, that's 500,000 yuan in total." Yi Chen took out his bank card and said, "Swipe the card." Beep. The card was successfully swiped. At that moment, the system beeped. Congratulations, host, you have completed a special order. As a reward, you will own a commercial building in the city center called Huachang Building, with a total area of about 10,000 square meters and a floor area of about 3,000 square meters. This really shocked Yi Chen, his eyes wide with disbelief. My goodness! This reward is really awesome. It's even better than any other reward. This Huachang building is the largest building in Xiangqing, and he has become the owner. This time the system has really gone all out. It's just that Yi Chen has finally discovered a series of reward patterns in the system. Chapter 96, I can't believe I'm this excited. Anything done for Lu Yina will most likely trigger a special order. Is it because it's not directly related to the baby? And now I'm fixing it for Lu Yina, so they came out of Lu Yina's stomach. Fixing this cradle for them will accidentally trigger a special order? Yi Chen thought this in his head, and smiled to himself, probably, this is the law. This system is also bound to me because of the appearance of the children, and I decided to be with Lu Yina. Then it is not difficult to imagine that everything you do, as long as it is about their mother and children, will trigger a reward. So what is this system upgrade about? Regarding this last question, Yi Chen also couldn't figure it out, and just muttered to himself, could it be that you have to complete a certain number of special orders before the system upgrades? Well, it's very possible. The female clerk saw Yi Chen suddenly fall into deep thought and didn't take the card she handed over, so she was scared that Yi Chen was going to change his mind. Her hands were shaking a little. Yi Chen suddenly came back from his thoughts and saw the female clerk looking at him with a frown, so he immediately smiled and took back his card. The female clerk finally let out a sigh of relief, but she was so scared. The female clerk said, "Mrs. Yi, I've already made arrangements for you, please follow me over here. Mr. Yi can drink tea here, or go shopping in the nearby mall. It should only take about half an hour. Remember to do these skincare things together," Yi Chen instructed. Saleswoman, "Okay, we will." Lu Yina said to Yi Chen, "If you get bored, you can go for a walk nearby. I'll send you a message when I'm almost done." Yi Chen nodded, "Go ahead, don't worry about me." Lu Yina waved to Yi Chen with a smile before following the female clerk. After all, beauty salons basically do business with women, and naturally men also do, but the two sides are separate. After the female clerk left, the receptionist immediately brought Yi Chen a magazine, as well as a fruit platter, snacks, and tea. Yi Chen just said hello to the receptionist and walked out of the beauty salon. In fact, Yi Chen went to buy Lu Yina a bag. After all, when he goes to the charity gala, he needs a presentable bag, otherwise people will say things like he can't take care of his wife. As the saying goes, to see how successful a man is, you just have to look at the woman by his side. Originally, a man who loves his wife will be willing to spend money on her, so this is killing two birds with one stone. Demingfa Shopping Mall is a large shopping mall, and there are definitely many big brands in it, such as Hermes, Chanel, Dior, LV, etc. But they should be on the third floor. Yi Chen went to the third floor of the mall according to the instructions in the mall. When Yi Chen arrived on the third floor, it could really be described as a paradise for luxury goods, or rather, a shopping paradise for women. All the luxury goods are here, from bags to clothes, watches to shoes. Yi Chen's heart skipped a beat when he saw the luxury watches. It seemed that neither he nor Lu Yina had a decent watch yet. Yi Chen looked at the most conspicuous shop in front of him, Patek Philippe. As a man, he should know this name. This is one of the world's top 10 luxury watches. As soon as he walked in, one of the female salespersons immediately came up to him and asked, "Hello, sir, which type of watch would you like to see?" Yi Chen said, "Let me take a look first." The saleswoman just smiled and said, "Okay, sir. These are all sports watches you are looking at now. This side is for leisure, and the innermost ones are for business. You can take a look first, and if you like any of them, you can let me try them on for you." Yi Chen smiled and said, "Thank you, I understand." In fact, the saleswoman still thought in her heart that Yi Chen was just here for a stroll, so she didn't pay much attention to him. After all, a lot of people came here for a stroll at the end of the day, and she was used to it. Yi Chen nodded as he looked at the watch. After about 10 minutes of looking around, he already had a choice in mind. He would wait until he came back with Lu Yana to see if she liked it, and they would each buy one. If there was a couple watch, Nana would like it even more. Yi Chen smiled to himself, then walked out of the store. Around the corner, he came across an underwear brand store. Maison Clothes. This brand is a young brand that has only been around for 15 years, and its brand has always insisted on creating clothing that makes women look voluptuous and sexy. And with this philosophy, it has won the Underwear Brand of the Year just a few years after its founding last year. The Maison Clothes brand has a unique charm that has swept the fashion and art circles as soon as it appeared. Many photographers, stylists, and fashion representatives are solid customers of Maison Clothes. And the prices are very affordable, basically in the triple digits, affordable to most people. Anyway, it doesn't matter if you have money or not. The most important thing is that Yi Chen was attracted to a sexy piece of lingerie in the showcase. At this, the little thought in Yi Chen's heart could not help but gradually grow. His inner desires were stirring. However, he was at the corner, watching for a few minutes before noticing a man walk in. So, he also let go of his fear and boldly walked into the Maison Clothes store. My goodness! The things inside were really attractive and beautiful. Even Yi Chen, such a big man, blushed when he looked at them. It's still a bit embarrassing for a big man to walk into a lingerie store. It was also the first time for Yi Chen, but he felt so excited inside. He stayed inside for about a few minutes, and as quickly as he could, he picked out a few items. After stating his height and weight, he immediately paid and left. It was already 25 minutes past the hour, and Yi Chen wrapped up the lingerie and put it in a bag, ready to give it to Lu Yana tonight. He just didn't know if Lu Yana would wear it. As for other bags and things, I'd better go with Lu Yana again. After all, when he was with Li Aiwei before, he basically came once or twice a month, and many of the receptionists knew him. Chapter 97: The Thrill of Triple Reimbursement. Quickly grabbed the bag and fled the store, returning to the beauty salon. At this time, Lu Yana was not yet ready. After all, there were 2 projects to do, and it might be a bit late. When she saw Yi Chen return, the receptionist immediately came forward to greet him. Yi Chen returned to the beauty salon, put on a serious face and sat down on the sofa. After putting the bag aside, he pretended to be calm again, picked up the teacup in front of him, took a gentle sip, and then slowly calmed down. After about 15 minutes, Lu Yana came out of the cubicle. "Husband!" Lu Yana shouted excitedly. Yi Chen immediately went up to greet her. Yi Chen watched as Lu Yana finished applying her skincare products, and was quite satisfied, at least her skin felt much fairer and more supple. Lu Yana also saw the shopping bag on the sofa and asked with a smile, "Honey, did you just go out and buy something?" Nothing, just some clothes." Yi Chen was taken aback. He was worried that Lu Yana would take out her underwear in public to look at it, and if that really happened, it would probably kill the mood. Fortunately, Lu Yana just said, "Yours or mine?" Yi Chen quickly said, "I just bought some underwear and things." Lu Yana reacted at this time, and was lucky that she didn't take it out to look at it before she got it, and it turned out that Yi Chen had bought some intimate clothes. Lu Yana said, "Oh, okay. Now that I'm done, are we going back? Or do you want to shop around some more?" Yi Chen said, "When I was just out shopping, I saw a watch that I liked. It's a Patek Philippe." Lu Yana, "Then let's go and have a look together? As long as my husband likes it." After Lu Yana signed her name in the book, Yi Chen took Lu Yana to the 3rd floor to see the Patek Philippe watches. The saleswoman was clearly taken aback. She really didn't expect Yi Chen to actually bring his wife back with him. The saleswoman immediately came forward, "Hello sir, miss." Lu Yana politely replied, "Hello." Yi Chen said, "I saw a couple watch over there. I don't know if you like it. Let's go over there and take a look." Yi Chen directly led Lu Yana over to the couple watches and pointed to a watch on top. This one, do you like it? Yi Chen asked. Lu Yana looked carefully at the watch on top, looking left and right. The saleswoman was so shocked that she almost couldn't react. This is the Daiwi automatic mechanical movement watch. The two watches for men and women together are worth more than 2 million yuan. The male model is 1,109,114 yuan, while the female model is 1,329,229 yuan. Both watches have a round dial, automatic movement, rubber strap, ring buckle, hands, dial, and screw and crown. The male model is relatively simple, while the female model has a few diamonds on it, so it is more expensive. This couple watch is also a new style launched this Valentine's Day, so the price is naturally a bit high. Currently, only 10 pairs of this couple watch have been sold in Xiangqing, and even if they are worn out, there is very little sign of a duplicate. The female salesperson immediately said, "Hello, may I ask if you are interested in our new couple watch this year? If you really plan to buy it, we can take it out for you to try on." These two watches are also new and unopened, and have not been tried on by anyone. Because everyone who tried them on bought them. The saleswoman said confidently. She has already sold 2 pairs of these couple watches, and if she adds Yi Chen and his girlfriend, that's 3 pairs. So, at this moment, just looking carefully at the expressions of Lu Yana and Yi Chen, she knows that this sale is definitely going to close. Lu Yana was shocked when she saw the price tag. 1 million for a single watch, that's really quite expensive. But for Yi Chen, this is naturally not considered money. Lu Yana just feels like she's been spending money like water these past 2 days, and she's already spent 1 billion. Now buying 2 watches will cost almost 2.5 million. If she weren't with Yi Chen, she probably wouldn't have spent this much money in her entire life. When she thought about this, Lu Yana's heart felt warm. At this time, Yi Chen had already asked the saleswoman to bring out the watches to try them on. Yi Chen gently took Lu Yana's hand and put on the women's watch for her. Seeing Lu Yana suddenly smile, Yi Chen asked, "Do you like it?" Lu Yana smiled and said, "Yes, I like it." If her husband likes it, she naturally likes it too. Yi Chen then said to the saleswoman, "Wrap it up for me." At first, the saleswoman thought she had heard it wrong and immediately asked again, "First, sir, do you really want it wrapped?" Yi Chen said, "Of course it's true." Lu Yana also looked at the saleswoman with a smile, without saying a word. The saleswoman was a little flustered and quickly took out the packaging box from the cabinet and took the label off it. She walked over to the counter to calculate the money and check out. After a while, the saleswoman returned with the store's gift bag, a piece of paper and a pen, as well as a credit card machine. The saleswoman said to Yi Chen and his companion, "Hello, sir. Please let me issue you a platinum membership card. If you spend with us, you will get a 10% discount. Now I have already entered the discount for you. A couple of watches, total spending 24,383,430 yuan, 24,383,430 yuan, after discount is 21,945,000 yuan, 21,945,000 yuan. Yi Chen said with a generous air, swiped the card. The saleswoman's heart was racing, and she immediately went forward to take the bank card in Yi Chen's hand. Beep. The card was successfully swiped. At that moment, however, the system rang. "Congratulations, host, you have successfully paid for your wife's watch. The system will refund you 3 times the purchase price." The phone's message tone rang again. Yi Chen picked it up and looked at it, 6,583,500 yuan, not a penny less. For a moment, Yi Chen wanted the saleswoman not to give him a discount. After all, with such a discount, Yi Chen would be directly hundreds of thousands of dollars less. However, the interest generated by the money he currently has in the bank is not bad. The saleswoman respectfully handed the bank card back to Yi Chen with both hands, and handed the packaged watch up to him with both hands as well. Yi Chen took the card and shopping bag, took Lu Yana's hand, and walked out of the famous watch store. Lu Yana asked as they walked, "Honey, are we going somewhere now?" Yi Chen smiled and said, "Naturally, we're buying the things we came to buy." Holding Lu Yana's hand, he walked into various brand name stores and spent millions more on bags, shoes, clothes, etc. Yi Chen put the items back in the car in batches and continued to go back and spend money. The system reimbursed him 3 times the amount. It's true, the system is really great. Chapter 98, A Very Good Recovery. Back home, Lu Yana sorted everything out because they had gone out and bought a lot of things for their family. Lu Yana gave Ye's mother the 2 bags they bought, as well as some thermal underwear, coats, scarves, etc. Ye's mother couldn't stop smiling, and kept praising Lu Yana. "Oh, Nana is really filial. You don't know, Yi-Chen is so big, and he's never bought me anything. Oops, I'm really blessed." Lu Yana laughed and said, "Mom, you're my husband's mother, so you're naturally also my mother." Ye's mother smiled and said, yes, it's true that having such a good daughter is a blessing that Yi-Chen has cultivated in 8 lifetimes." Yi-Chen also chimed in, "Mom, don't say I've never bought you anything. I've bought you snacks." Ye's mother also rebuked Yi-Chen, "Snacks? Don't you just eat them yourself? You say you bought them for me, but I don't really like snacks." Yi-Chen was also talking about his own mother, "So when I buy them back, you gobble up my spicy sticks, don't you?" Yi-Chen also knew that his mother used to love snacks, but recently, perhaps because she was getting older and wanted to maintain her health, she had given up snacks. Ye's mother just grunted, hugged the things Lu Yana had bought for her, and walked back to her room. In fact, she also knew that Yi-Chen would definitely pay for these things, but since Lu Yana had picked them out for her, it was as if Lu Yana had bought them for herself. The elderly are like that, they are happy with the simplest things. Yi-Chen and Lu Yana watched as Ye's mother went upstairs, and they quickly carried the things they had bought back to the room. Some of the things were bought for Ye's father and Lu Yana's parents, and they were all stored in the utility room downstairs. Lu Yana and Yi-Chen went back to the room, and the babies woke up at this time. Lu Yana went over to hug the babies first, leaving Yi-Chen alone to tidy up. Yi-Chen unpacked everything and put it away one by one. Finally, he reached the sexy lingerie and hung it on the side with the pajamas. Yi-Chen thought to himself, "It's a bit cold now, so it doesn't seem to be suitable for wearing." He was holding the lingerie in his hands, thinking about it, when suddenly Lu Yana opened the door and came in. She saw the transparent lingerie in Yi-Chen's hand and suddenly blushed. It turned out that Yi-Chen had gone shopping while she was having repairs done. And the shopping bag turned out to be. He didn't buy it for himself, but for me. Lu Yana stood in the doorway a little embarrassed, and Yi-Chen was even more embarrassed than Lu Yana. At first, Yi-Chen was thinking, why not wait for Lu Yana to discover it herself, but he never expected to be caught in public like this, and even more so when he was enjoying it with a lewd look on his face, and Lu Yana saw him. Oh my god. It really killed the moment. Yi-Chen put the underwear in the closet a little awkwardly and said to Lu Yana, "I've finished unpacking everything for you, and I've put your bag away. There are still some clothes that I haven't had time to put away yet. Why don't you do it yourself?" Lu Yana didn't say anything, but just walked over to Yi-Chen and said, "Honey, which one do you like?" Yi-Chen froze for a moment. He had originally thought that it would be awkward, but now that he had asked, he was even more embarrassed. Yi-Chen chuckled twice and said, "It's just that it looks quite good when I look at it." Lu Yana snickered, "I'll wear it for you if I get the chance. But I've never worn it before, so I don't know if it looks good." Yi-Chen immediately said, "It'll definitely look good, absolutely 100% good." It seems that he realized something, so Yi-Chen quickly covered his mouth. Lu Yana laughed twice, "Honey, we're husband and wife, there's no need to be embarrassed about these things. You don't have to do that." Lu Yana has now come to terms with the fact that they are still husband and wife. Now that everything has been said, they are no longer embarrassed. Although she took the initiative at first, she still has the modesty of a woman. Seeing Yi-Chen act like this, Lu Yana also finds it a bit funny. It's good to know a little about romance. Yi-Chen grinned and put Lu Yana in his arms, whispering gently in her ear, "Men, this is their hobby. When you're ready, show it to your husband." Lu Yana's face immediately turned red. The two of them just cuddled together like this. It was soon time to go to the hospital for the 42-day postpartum checkup. Yi-Chen got up early that day, and Lu Yana also made an appointment early in the evening for the 10 a.m. slot. She got up at a little after 9. It was quite difficult to get up at this time, after all, she had to breastfeed the baby at night and had to get up twice at night, so she wanted to sleep a little longer in the morning. No sooner had she sat in the car than Lu Yana fell asleep, holding her clothes. Yi-Chen shook his head helplessly. There was nothing to be done. Breastfeeding mothers have it tough. When they arrived at the hospital, it was almost 10 o'clock, but they still had to wait half an hour. Obviously, even if you have an appointment, it's not set in stone. There were just too many people. Yi-Chen quickly woke Lu Yana up and led her into the doctor's office. The doctor looked at Lu Yana's file and couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, "You're the mother who gave birth to triplets. That's really great. Your babies all weighed over 4 kilograms when they were born. You've done a really good job raising them. Lu Yana smiled and said, "Thank you, doctor." The doctor then looked at the computer and said, "You need to rest most of all for your rectus abdominis and pelvis." Lu Yana, "Yes, doctor, I've already started doing rehabilitation." "Well, that's good, but we still need to do a postpartum checkup. After you pay the fee for this list, come back here and our nurse will arrange it for you. You don't need to hold your urine for this ultrasound." Lu Yana, "Okay, thank you, doctor." Yichen also hurriedly thanked the doctor and took the list to pay the fee. After returning and handing the list to the nurse, Lu Yana was taken away by the nurse. It was about an hour before Lu Yana came out with the results. She took Yichen by the hand and said, "Let's go back and see the doctor now. When we were having the ultrasound, the doctor said I'm recovering very well." Lu Yana took Yichen into the doctor's office and handed the results to the doctor. The doctor looked at the sheet for a while and said, "Well, all aspects of your body are recovering very well, and you don't have anemia either. You bled 200 milliliters during the cesarean section, and your hemoglobin cells were not normal when you were in the hospital, but they have all recovered now. Even though the data is like this, you still need to supplement your blood with nutrients after you go back, so that your blood and energy can be regulated as a whole and your body functions can be completely restored. And there's also this, your rectus abdominis function is really poor. As you've seen before, you feel like you have a bunch of fat in your stomach, but a lot of it is your body's organs. Fortunately, you have done the repair, and the data you are doing now is much better than before. Keep going, don't stop until you have completely repaired it." Chapter 99, A few billion is just a drop in the bucket. Yichen took the doctor's words to heart, so he told the doctor, "Well, we will." After leaving the doctor's office, Yichen took Lu Yana to the pharmacy and bought a lot of supplements, including several caddies of bird's nest and some things to replenish blood and qi after childbirth. Of course, these supplements were all the best, and it probably cost a few 100,000 yuan, and the system returned it all 3 times. Yichen didn't even bat an eyelid at the idea of buying things with money. Yichen said to Lu Yana, "Now that the 2 nannies are back, let them stew a pot of bird's nest every night in the future. You drink it when you get up at night, and you also drink a cup of tonic before going to bed at night. There are instructions on how to make it, so just leave it to them. I will supervise you every day, and I won't let any of it go to waste." Lu Yana was extremely shocked. "No way, I just want to lose weight." "What weight? Your husband likes you just the way you are. But if you keep feeding me like this, I'll just keep getting fatter," Lu Yana retorted quietly. "No arguments this time, you have to listen to me. You can lose weight whenever you want. I'll find a nutritionist to create a nutrition plan for you, and try to reduce your energy intake from your daily diet. But you must drink the supplements," Yichen said imperiously. Lu Yana had no choice but to give in to him. "Okay then." At that moment, the system beeped. "Take your wife for a postpartum checkup, and the system rewards you with the skills of a senior nutritionist." Yichen praised the system in his heart, saying that it really was monitoring me every day, otherwise how could it have prepared this for me? "When I get home, I'll write a recipe and have the nanny follow it," Yichen thought to himself. He drove Lu Yana to the beauty salon again, where she would have a full set of restorative treatments and a full body treatment. He also gave her a set of mugwort products for body maintenance. Yichen waited at the beauty salon for an hour and a half, even missing lunch. When Lu Yana came out, it was already 1:30, and Yichen insisted on waiting for her before going to lunch. After all, tomorrow is the time to go to the charity gala, and Yichen naturally also hopes that Lu Yana can participate in the best condition. And just now, Yichen also called the staff at LV Courtesy to confirm that someone will be sent to the house tomorrow afternoon. As soon as Lu Yana walked out, she hurriedly hugged Yichen and said, "I just had a milk surge, so I asked them to help me express it." Yichen smiled and said, "That's good, I was worried about you. I just called home and said we weren't going to go back for dinner, so let's go eat together." Lu Yana nodded, "Well, I'm really hungry too. I had a bowl of congee for breakfast and I'm starving. I just asked them for a snack." Yichen hugged Lu Yana and said, "Let's go eat then, it doesn't matter if we're late, the most important thing is that we've finished everything. Do you want to make an appointment for them to come to your house tomorrow?" Lu Yana thought for a moment and said, "Well, it's best. We can do a skin care treatment, and then I can put on some makeup." Yichen immediately made an appointment at the front desk for a skin care treatment at home the next day, and then took Lu Yana to the 5th floor of the shopping mall to find something to eat. By the time they returned home, it was around 4 p.m. At dinner, Yichen asked Auntie Jeanne to save them some food to eat later. The three little ones were missing their mother, however, and hadn't seen their baby all day. The first thing Lu Yana did when she got back was to go see the baby. Yi Chen's mother pulled him aside and asked, "Chen, how was Nana's checkup? Is there anything I should be aware of?" Yi Chen told her the truth. The doctor said she needs to get more nutrients. "Mom, when you're not busy, make Nana some soup or something." Yi Chen mentioned the few caddies of bird's nest. "You can also make some when you have time. I bought enough for the whole family, so you should eat some too." After putting the bird's nest down, Yi Chen then picked up a bunch of medicinal herbs and said to his mother, "In the past, when I had no money, I didn't know how to buy you these. I just knew that you liked to snack, so I bought you snacks. Now that I know how to care for you, I bought these for you, Nana, and your mother-in-law. You all need to replenish your energy." His mother was also very gratified, and she sighed that her son had really grown up after becoming a father. That's right, starting a family and building a career, you should start with the family before the career. Ye's mother also said to Yi Chen in a deep tone, "Chen, you have really grown up. You know how to care for your wife and others. Mom is really happy. However, what I care about most now is that although you have so many shares, or other shares, I still hope that you can make your own achievements. While taking care of the family, you can also have your own business. Your father and I are getting old, both in our 50s, but we are still fighting hard. As the saying goes, one should keep learning and living till old age. When your father has settled everything, I still hope that you can take over your father's company." Yi Chen understood that he could not escape this time after hearing all this from his mother in one breath. Yi Chen took a deep breath and replied, "Mom, I know. I will take over Dad's company then, but I hope to set up the company in the city center of Shangcheng." "Yes, mother, I've already told you before that your father has the intention of moving the company headquarters back here. Has he found a suitable place to move here yet?" Yi Chen asked. "Not yet. As you know, the office buildings in the city center are too popular, and the expensive ones are unaffordable. If you pay the rent all year round, it's definitely not worth it." Ye's mother sighed. Yi Chen said, "How big an office do you want to find? Or have you considered opening a branch or something in the city center?" Ye's mother shook her head. "For the company headquarters, a few hundred square meters would be fine, but for a branch, you need at least 1,000 or 2,000 square meters." Yi Chen said, "If you really want to open a branch, let me know, and I'll see if any of my friends can help. I'll ask around about the headquarters, and I'll give them a call tomorrow." Ye's mother, "Okay then. This is the only way to mobilize our friendship, otherwise there's really no other way. We don't know many people in the city." Although Yi Chen's parents also had a net worth of over $1 billion in the past, they were only considered small rich in Shangcheng, and not many people recognized them, so it was normal that they didn't know anyone. $1 billion is just a small sum in the eyes of some big shots. Chapter 100, Persuading his parents to retire. After Yi Chen had a chat with his mother, he remembered the reward he had just received, Huachang Building. This is the largest commercial center in the city center, with a total area of over 10,000 square meters, and a floor area of over 3,000 square meters. So, he immediately asked the system for the phone number of the property general manager. Yi Chen immediately called the property general manager of Huachang Building, and the call was quickly connected. Apparently, Yi Chen's phone number had already been saved in the property manager's address book. The first thing the property manager said when he answered the phone was, "Hello, Mr. Yi, I'm the manager of the property management company for Huachang Building. My name is Lu Quanzheng, you can call me Xiao Lu. I'm not sure what I can do to help you." Yi Chen said in a light tone, "I want to know, is there any space in my building that has not been rented out yet?" Lu Quanzheng immediately replied to Yi Chen, obviously very familiar with the situation of the building. "Mr. Yi, I can report that there are 1,000 square meters of space on the first and second floors of our building that have not been rented out. The building is 30 stories high, and there are 18 unused offices. Each office is about 200 to 300 square meters. I'm not sure what Mr. Yi wants to use it for." Lu Quanzheng asked cautiously. Yi Chen said, "There are 2 adjacent offices that I need. If the one downstairs wants to be rented out, give me a call first. Because I haven't decided whether to open a branch in the city or not, but I definitely need the headquarters office." Lu Quanzheng also heard the unspoken meaning in the words, and was surprised to hear that Yi Chen definitely had a use for it, so he also put this matter in his heart. Lu Quanzheng immediately replied, "Okay, Mr. Yi. There are 2 connected rooms on the 13th floor, and I will reserve them for Mr. Yi." Yi Chen, Lu Quanzheng said over the phone, "It's the end of June, and the rent collected every 6 months for the building is almost finished. After our finance department deducts the property fees for half a year, we will transfer it to you, Mr. Yi. Yi Chen asked, how much is there this time? Lu Quanjing immediately replied, after deducting the property fees, there is about 300 million. It will be collected around July 1st or 2nd, so please don't worry, Mr. Yi. Yi Chen, well, that's good, thank you. Lu Quanjing, no trouble at all, this is what we should do. After Yi Chen finished speaking, he hung up the phone. When Lu Quanjing first received Yi Chen's call, he was shocked. He thought Yi Chen was calling to ask for the rent and scold him for not having collected the rent so late. Because it is usually transferred at the end of June, but this time because of a company's financial problems, they have been urged to pay for many days, and they were ordered to transfer it to the property company's account by the 1st, or else they would have to go. Unexpectedly, Yi Chen just asked if there was any spare office. It scared him a lot. He didn't want to lose such a cash cow. The profit that this Huachang building brings to the company every year is more than 1 million yuan per month, and it will reach more than 10 million yuan a year. Therefore, he had to keep Yi Chen happy. Once Yi Chen hung up the phone, he was in a state of ecstasy. When he learned that he could receive more than 300 million yuan in rent alone for half a year, his heart leaped for joy. Doing nothing, the Huachang building plus the shared dividends from Liui Baby, that is to say, he would have an income of more than 1 billion yuan a year. As the saying goes, don't worry about breaking a leg. After he had slowly calmed down, he found Ye's mother and said, Mom, I've already helped you solve the office problem. If you want to open a branch in the city center, will 2,000 square meters be enough? Yi Chen's family runs a food company and also owns a large supermarket, although they only have a minority stake. Ye's mother said, I don't know. I'll ask your father what he thinks. I've just had a chat with him, and he wants to sell his shares and retire here. You know, those people are not easy to get along with. The last time something happened, it really upset your father. Yi Chen thought for a moment and said with a big heart, if he wants to quit, I'll support him. Go for it. Ye's mother also smiled. When are you going to support him? Once your father sells his shares, he'll have at least 100 million yuan. That's enough for our retirement. The most important thing now is what you and Nana are going to do with your studies. What are you going to do about your wedding? Nana can't just get a certificate with you and that's it, right? When a woman gets married, she wants a dreamy, perfect wedding, so that she can live her life without regrets. Ye's mother said this, as if she had thought of something. She remembered that when your mother and I got married, we didn't even have a wedding photo. It feels like a loss just thinking about it. Yi Chen, I'm also thinking about how to do it, but I still need to talk to Nana and her parents about it. How she does it on her side, and how we do it on our side. Ye's mother nodded, that's right, we still need to talk to the in-laws about this. By the way, did you propose to her or something? Girls these days like romance, so you'd better treat our precious daughter-in-law well. Yi immediately said, Mom, don't worry, we proposed when we got married. Humph. I thought you were going to do what your father did. I followed your father when he had nothing, and to this day, he still hasn't bought me a ring or anything. Thinking about it really makes me feel angry. Ye's mother snorted and said with some resentment. Yi Chen also smiled secretly and said, let me go remind Dad a bit. The two mother and son chatted for a while before the meeting broke up. After Yi Chen returned upstairs, Lu Yana had already lain down and fallen asleep. However, after finishing their milk, the three babies refused to go to sleep and wanted to be held and played with. Yi Chen sighed, the babies are growing up quickly, and they look different every day. Yi Chen has been busy these few days and hasn't had the chance to hold the babies. Now he's holding all three of them while they receive their infusions, and he feels that they've really changed a lot. Moreover, the three babies are all very smart. When they see their father, they all want Yi Chen to hold them, especially the little one, who is especially attached to him. The baby, who is almost 2 months old, even wants to learn to speak. He's chatting with Yi Chen, cooing and cooing. Yi Chen also really enjoyed this parent-child time, thinking that if he really had to start a career in the future, he would probably have less and less time to spend with his baby, so he had to cherish the time now. At that moment, the system rang. Ding! For intimate interaction with the baby, the system rewards 1 million. Yi Chen also smiled, probably because this was the first time the baby had spoken, so the system had rewarded 1 million this time. Usually, rewards for things like making formula are around 100,000. Chapter 101, Taken In. The next day, around 2 p.m., the people from the beauty salon came and gave Lu Yana a full-body beauty treatment. Lu Yana slept while enjoying it. It was a little after 3 p.m. when they finished, and then the people from LV came in the nanny car. There was a salesperson, a makeup artist, a clothing stylist, and a driver. They would follow Lu Yana to the party, ready to retouch her makeup or change her dress at any time. And now, they have also brought Lu Yana's dress. With the help of the stylist, Lu Yana put on the entire set of diamond jewelry that said "You are my only one." At this party, Lu Yana was destined to become the center of attention. Her jewelry alone was enough to shock people. The Weisha Charity Gala is a very famous charity gala in the country. First-class socialites and third-tier and above stars will all gather here. When they arrive, there is a 100-meter-long red carpet, and everyone around is wearing exquisite makeup and the most appropriate dresses, competing with each other in beauty. Since the party is being held in Fragrance City, Yi Chen, a man with a net worth of 10 billion, is naturally one of the people who will be invited. What's more, he was the first to receive an invitation from the system. Yi Chen and Lu Yana hold hands and walk into the red carpet. Yi Chen was wearing a gray suit, and Lu Yana was wearing the white dress she bought that day. Yi Chen was wearing a couple's $1 million watch, while Lu Yana was wearing a necklace and diamond ring worth hundreds of millions of dollars. It has to be said that Lu Yana was wearing a slim-fitting little dress, with a lightly made-up pink face and a slightly baby-fat face, with so much collagen on her face that it was overflowing. The dress highlighted her entire person's elegance and small waist. Most importantly, Lu Yana is currently still breastfeeding, and the size of her breasts is so big that people can't take their eyes off them. At this time, Li Ai, who was wearing a black evening dress with a slit, was staring at Lu Yana from afar, so jealous that her eyes were about to fall out. Li Ai was thinking about something there, but Guo Ming, who was standing next to her, was urging Li Ai to go in. After walking across the red carpet, Li Ai took the opportunity to say that she needed to go to the bathroom to touch up her makeup, and called the person she had prepared early in the morning aside. At this time, Yi Chen happened to be wandering around here as well, because he had just seemed to see his roommate, so he told Lu Yana to go find her. Unexpectedly, he would hear something he shouldn't hear here. In a hidden corner, Li Ai was asking a woman, "What? Is everything okay now?" The woman was Li Ai's best friend. Don't worry, everything is ready, we just need the right moment." "Good, well done. It was worth all the trouble I went to bring you here." Li Ai took out a bottle of something from her handbag and said sinisterly, "In a while, you help me get Lu Yana to the proofreading room and tell her that Yi Chen's ex-girlfriend wants to talk to her. I'm sure she'll come. With this tried-and-true method, I'm sure she'll do as she's told." As she spoke, she weighed the bottle in her hand. Li Ai handed it to her best friend, who took it and locked eyes with Li Ai, seeing the sinister plan in her eyes. "At that time, Yi Chen will definitely leave Lu Yana and come back to me." Li Ai laughed coldly. "Lu Yana, don't think that having a few children can tie Yi Chen down. I really want to see if Yi Chen wants you or not. Okay, after it's done, I'll transfer the promised 100,000 yuan to your bank card, so go." Her best friend nodded and turned to leave. In fact, Li Ai's best friend had her own ulterior motives. She was thinking about catching a rich man here, so she agreed to help Li Ai do this kind of thing. Li Ai, however, looked at her best friend's cold smile as she left. "Guo Ming, I already gave him the medicine beforehand. This time, I don't think you can escape. If Yi Chen sees you cheating with another man with your own eyes, I don't know if Yi Chen will still want you." Thinking about this, Li Ai sneered and turned around and left. Yi Chen hid in the shadows, listening to the things Li Ai had said, and his face looked cold. "How dare you touch my wife?" Suddenly, two men came sneaking up again. "Man A, have you finished declaring the expropriation of the area on Boji Street in Dongping District?" Man B said, "The authorities are still working on the plan, and it is estimated that another meeting will be able to confirm it, probably in about a month, and they still need to collect information." "Well, that's good, Yi Chen didn't care, because although he was angry at the moment, the most important thing now was to find Lu Yana and make sure she never left his side. So Yi Chen quickly left the scene and went back to look for Lu Yana. Meanwhile, Lu Yana had been taken by Li Ai's best friend to one of the script rooms in the backstage area. These script rooms were used to hold films and the like, and the MCs in front communicated with them to decide which ones to play. At this time, Lu Yana did not know the danger she was in. Yi Chen's phone rang, and Lu Yana immediately answered. "Hello, honey." Yi Chen's tone was urgent. "Where are you right now?" Lu Yana said honestly, "Just now, Li Ai's best friend told me that I had seen that girl with Li Ai when we were in school. Li Ai has something to discuss with me, it's about you, so I came over to see what you wanted to tell me. I'm waiting for her in the inner proofreading room." Yi Chen couldn't help but feel anxious. Don't worry about what she wants to tell you, just hurry back. I'll come find you now. You walk out of the proofreading room. Head towards the lobby. Yi Chen was also anxious. There was still a long way to go from the proofreading room, and there were a lot of people in the venue, so there was no way he could run faster. However, just as Lu Yina was about to open the door and leave, Li Aiwei's best friend returned, followed by Guoming. At this time, Guoming was wearing a white suit, and his face was a little flushed, probably because the drug had begun to take effect. Guoming had also been tricked by Li Aiwei, who said that she wanted to fulfill his dream of being able to have Lu Yina, the school beauty. Seeing her standing right in front of him, Guoming excitedly took a few big steps towards Lu Yina. He was breathing heavily and his face was getting redder and redder. The drugs were taking effect. Once those drugs took effect, it would take a few hours for them to wear off. Lu Yina also felt a little dizzy and her body was beginning to heat up. Obviously, there was something wrong with the candles in the drafting room. At first, Lu Yina didn't notice, but now she could smell something wrong. She was beginning to feel less and less energy in her body. Chapter 102, Taken in Two. At this time, Guoming said excitedly, Nana. He quickly walked over to Lu Yina and said deeply, Nana, you know that I've always liked you, and I really miss you. You're really beautiful today. Today, Lu Yina was really beautiful and heart-stopping. As he said this, he reached out to embrace Lu Yina. Lu Yina looked at the disgusting person in front of her and pushed him with all her strength. Guoming was also pushed to the ground by Lu Yina, but he was not angry about it. It seems that Li Ai is also very capable now. Judging by the look on Lu Yina's face, she is probably letting herself do whatever she wants. At this moment, Li Ai's best friend looked at the scene in front of her and immediately said, You guys take your time catching up here. I've already brought the keys to the editing room. Just lock it and no one will disturb you. With that, she thought about leaving. And at the door, Yi Chen arrived. He happened to hear Li Ai's best friend say this, and Yi Chen blocked the whole doorway, stopping Li Ai's best friend. He looked behind her, and when Yi Chen saw his wife looking miserable, while Guoming was looking at his wife with a lewd expression, he was completely enraged, and his body was emitting cold air. Lu Yina, however, looked at Yi Chen helplessly. Without saying a word, Yi Chen took the key from Li Ai's best friend's hand, and directly pushed her inside, where she fell to the ground, and her phone in her hand shattered. Then Yi Chen punched Guoming in the forehead, causing Guoming to cover his face and take a few steps back. Yi Chen quickly pulled Lu Yina back into his arms and found that Lu Yina was burning up with heat. He quickly took Lu Yina out of the proofreading room, closed the door, and locked in Li Ai's best friend in Guoming. Li Aiwei's best friend also reacted at this time, quickly picked up the phone on the ground and tried to call Li Aiwei for help, but the phone screen had been broken, so there was no way. At this time, Guoming was already losing control. What's worse is that Li Aiwei's best friend had previously inhaled the smell emitted by the candle, and now she has been here for several minutes. So, she seems to be a bit off now. She suddenly thought to herself, I can't resist anyway, I came here this time to catch a long-term meal ticket. Judging from Li Ai's recent spending, Guoming's family should be quite wealthy, so I might as well give in to him. Although Li Ai's best friend was not as pretty as Li Ai herself, she had a face that was quite attractive. Although Guoming didn't fancy her, he had no choice now. After a while, there were amorous sounds coming from the script room. However, behind this, there was something going on that no one knew about. Li Ai just asked her best friend to help her trick Lu Yina and Guoming into a room, but behind this, she had another plot. In this script checking room, there are surveillance devices connected to the large screen on the stage, and these surveillance cameras are also connected to the mainframe. Li Ai had spent money early on to bribe the backstage staff and successfully obtained the key. At this point, she arrived late, standing at the door of the script checking room, listening to the enchanting sounds coming from inside, and couldn't help sneering, humph. It's quite a party. So she walked into the other script checking room, and followed the method the staff had taught her to turn on the surveillance camera in that room. She was slowly enjoying the interaction between the man and woman inside. Suddenly, in the candlelight, she realized that the woman tangled up with Guoming was her best friend. She was so angry that she suddenly yelled, Gu Yutong. You actually did this to me with your back turned. In a rage, she flung her mobile phone, which was recording the scene, away. Like a madwoman, she rushed across to the other side, looked at the key still hanging on the handle and quickly opened the door. Immediately, she pulled the man and woman apart, who were still entwined. Li Ai cursed and swore, seemingly forgetting that the candle oil lamp next to her was still alight. The three of them tussled for several minutes before Li Aiwei realized something was wrong. But it was already too late. Guoming had pushed Li Aiwei to the ground. Li Aiwei's best friend Gu Yutong watched as Guoming pushed Li Aiwei to the ground and slowly moved to the edge of the door, took the key from the top, closed the door and locked it behind her. Li Aiwei looked at Gu Yutong and yelled, "Gu Yutong, I won't let you go." On the other side, Yi Chen, holding Lu Yina, booked a room in this hotel. The most expensive room, please. A charity gala was being held here today, and there were a lot of drunk people, so it was normal for people to book rooms in the hotel. However, when the hotel receptionist saw Yi Chen's anxious expression and Lu Yina's unusual appearance, she couldn't help but glance at Yi Chen again. Yi Chen coughed softly, "She's my wife, we have proof." The young lady at the front desk was afraid to look again and quickly booked the best room in the hotel for Yi Chen. Yi Chen was also speechless. He didn't expect to have to prove his innocence when booking a room. He immediately thought of the scene when Lu Yina helped him into the hotel room. Could it be that this was also so funny? Yi Chen got the room card key, and without looking back, he hugged Lu Yina and got into the elevator. After entering the room, Yi Chen let out a sigh of relief. "I can't believe I let Lu Yina get framed." Yi Chen's face was full of gloom. "I won't let this couple get away with it." He quickly took out his phone and called the L.V courtesy staff member who had followed him, asking them to go home first. He then called Ye's mother and said that there had been a situation here and that he might not be home tonight. Ye's mother was a veteran and naturally understood. She told them to go and have fun and that she would take care of everything at home. Yi Chen also laughed and hung up the phone. Here, Lu Yina's face looked even more abnormal.